took me where I had to be. From my northern Graceland home to the gates of hell I've roamed. A pleasure trail, but it ain't no fantasy, yeah. 'Cause the world keeps burning, and we just watch the flames grow higher. And the world keeps turning, revolving round a ball of fire. Harder to hell, harder to hell. We're wishing you well from the Harder Hotel. It's an extreme progression, the link between hell and heaven. The higher ground drops out so rapidly, and a proud river runs through, separating us from you and giving us a sense of security, yeah. Protection from the masses, oh, it defines the borderline. And only one street crosses, leaving it all behind. Harder to hell, harder to hell. We're wishing you well from the Harder Hotel. It's a sign of the times, it's a state of mind. Oh, the bottom line can be so damn unkind. Harder to hell, harder to hell. We're wishing you well from the Harder Hotel. Harder to hell, harder to hell. Wishing you well from the Harder Hotel.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the pre-show. I was going to come on and talk a little bit about WandaVision, non-spoilery WandaVision. But since I'm here, and since you're here, and since Rob's here, why don't I bring in Rob?
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Good. Audio's a little on the quiet side.
On the quiet side. And talk to the mic. Let me have a second. Any better?
Marginally.
March. Okay.
Maybe I need to turn my cans up. No, they're pretty loud. I'm good. My volume's good in my cans. I think you're a little soft. I don't mean that insultingly. While we work on Rob's audio, I'm going to bring in Kevin. Hey, buddy.
Oh, hey.
And
How's it going?
maybe I'll just talk for a bit while we work on some of these on the volume. But I was about to talk about WandaVision in a non-spoilery way.
I haven't watched it yet.
Good, because I'm talking about it in a non-spoilery way.
Okay.
Rob, how's your audio now?
Let's try this now. How's
Much
that?
better.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, way better. Maybe a little hot, but
Okay.
I'd rather have it as it is.
How is that? Better now?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
happy.
good.
There we go. Okay.
Yes,
shall
Eric,
speak-
I have
I
the
shall
clip
speak
ready.
softly.
Yes, I do. So I was going to say, this Catherine Hahn who plays Agnes on the show.
Right.
I Wikipedia'd her and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen her and I remember her and that and that and that. But up until now, I've never really focused on her, and she's fantastic. Oh my god, and she really steals the last episode. So I will say that for it, and I continually be impressed by Paul Bettany. This episode takes place in sort of like a 2000s era sitcom.
Yeah.
And so it's more of like that, The Office / Modern Family, where there's first person interviews and whatnot, sitting on a chair, talking straight to the camera. And both Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, really, really good in this episode. Kat Dennings, another great performance from her. And again, somebody I've never paid much attention to in the past because I hated that whole Two Broke Girls style of comedy. And so with a non-spoilery review here, I'm just going to give 2 solid thumbs up to this week's WandaVision.
Okay.
And an extra special thumb up to Catherine Hahn, who I thought just stole it.
Which one is she?
Agnes.
Which one is Agnes?
She's the
not
neighbor
good
that
with
always
names.
pops over. Oh, hi,
Okay.
honey. I see that you're having problems with your dog.
Gotcha. Okay.
I just happen to have a doghouse here for you.
I gotta say, I'm liking the show better now that they're actually giving you some idea of what's going on. I was really
Yeah.
frustrated with that beginning. I thought it was not executed well at all.
You found the first 3 very slow comparatively, I know.
Yeah, but it's gotten my attention now, at least.
Right.
I like Kat Dennings because she's playing the character she played in Thor 2, right?
Correct, yeah.
So
Which is also a great performance with a fun character. Just that, that was all I really knew about her because, like I said, I hated that. Who's that? The producer behind Two Broke Girls.
Oh.
Her name is escaping me, and her name is on so many terrible comedies.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to Google her because I'm going to do a shaming right now. Okay.
Damn, it's crazy.
Her name, Whitney Cummings.
That's it. Yeah.
Shame. 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 Your style of comedy. No.
Shame.
So
Shame on you.
Rob,
Yes.
this week's concept came from you.
Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, it did.
Like
Yeah.
we've been looking for. It's so tough. It's so tough making sure I give everybody a fair shot getting on the show, and I want everybody to have like a theme that suits them really well. So concept albums, obviously,
Well,
you are.
You yourself said that you're surprised it went this long.
Mm-hmm. I did say that, and I am surprised.
Okay, quit squirming, Gimli. It's okay.
Do you have show and tell planned for tonight?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, cool. Good, because I have a little bit. Maybe half of my stuff is going to be show and tell tonight.
Okay.
How
No,
about
I,
you, Kevin?
I went that extra. I went that extra mile. Sorry, Kevin, didn't mean to step on you there.
usually,
No worries.
you usually do.
Uh,
you usually go.
So you mean like for everything on my list I have here? Is that
Not
what you
just
mean?
any. Do you have any show and tell this evening? You usually do.
I mean, I could. What do I got?
I'm just
here?
asking. I'm not pressuring.
Well, I'm looking here. I'm not.
I'm
do- I-
looking here.
I got some things. If you want me to show some things, I got some things.
I'm looking
Cool.
here.
I grew up Italian.
I was just watching some SCTV just before I came on live, and it was Bobby Bittman.
Yeah.
As an actor, in all seriousness, hey!
I don't know if you guys like when Martin Short does that Jiminy Glick. You guys like that?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know why. Like people hate it, but I love it. He kills me. He's a really good insult comic. He's really underrated. You watch him go on Conan or whatever, and he can keep up with like Don Rickles, man. He's really underrated as that.
I got a request here from Chris Sarr. He's requesting one of these.
I
Voivod! Voivod! That's for Chris Sarr and for Rob, of course.
appreciate it. I appreciate the Voivod.
I'm going to. You know what? It's
I
soon
can
enough.
hear you
Let's-
yelling. Sarah has you upstairs. I can hear
Oh,
Voivod coming from
delay.
upstairs.
Okay, I was just gonna say, Aaron and Meat are both locked and loaded and ready to go. So why don't I run the theme song? It's close enough to 7. Let's run the theme song and bring in Aaron and Uncle Meat.
Cool.
LeBrain train. LeBrain train. Everybody get on board, see what LeBrain has got in store. Guaranteed 2,000 words or more. LeBrain train. LeBrain train. If rock and roll is what you crave, it's guaranteed to make your day. Stick around and what they've got to say. LeBrain train. LeBrain train. Yes, the list you never know, so just sit back and enjoy the show. This train goes everywhere you want to go. LeBrain train. LeBrain train.
Give me a one-way ticket to anywhere. And a glazed donut. To go.
LeBrain train. LeBrain train. All aboard.
Hey, fellas,
Greetings,
Hello,
Earthlings.
everybody.
you're sounding good, Aaron.
Well, thank
Audio
you.
check on the Meat Man. Audio on the Meat Man.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sounding good. Yeah, sounding good.
Okay, good.
Now,
Good,
now, Meat.
good.
Just before we came on, were you taking a slug out of a cough syrup bottle?
No, I wasn't actually. No.
And this is related to something Kevin said earlier. He can hear himself upstairs. Thanks, Sarah. You're awesome. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Yeah,
Ready to rock
awesome.
and roll. How are you? Good to see you, Rob. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, Aaron. Good to see you. And
Yeah.
Uncle Meat.
Yes, and Uncle
Hello,
Meat. Now, I've
everybody.
been watching, so I know I've seen Uncle Meat, but not like this.
Well, apparently
Not-
Uncle
not
Meat
like
is
what?
in Uncle
Not
Meat
like
is in
that.
one of the states where they don't have heat, hence his attire today. But I see he
I'm
does have
wearing lots of
electricity.
clothing.
He has electricity though, thank goodness. So
I'm wearing lots of clothing.
before you guys came
Thank
on, I was
God.
just saying tonight's show is brought to you by Rob Daniels at Visions and Sound. Concept albums, the long
It
overdue
is.
category that we haven't tackled yet. But before we get to the concept albums, Meat wanted to segue into a clip.
Yes. As some of you, I don't know if anyone saw the show that we did with T-Bone and Deke on the Aerosmith Done with Mirrors. During that show, I had some certain choice words for Desmond Child in there that were a little, controversial, to say the least. And let's just say that my opinion on Desmond Child it was basically solidified and confirmed by a very special guest of the LeBrain train 2 nights ago on a show called Guitar Hack, where they were doing their least 5 favorite Kiss albums.
Yes,
So-
yes.
I gave Mike a very small clip to play for everybody, which is Martin Popoff talking about Hot in the Shade by Kiss.
Right.
So,
Which, for the record, I will say is the worst Kiss album. So let's hear what Martin Popoff has to say.
1989 went gold. So this again is like, phone it in, crappy hair metal. It can still sell a lot of copies. I don't know why, but it did. Lots of outside songwriters again. Vinnie Poncia, Desmond Child, like that the horrible scourge on music that is Desmond Child is happening. But rise to.
So
Scourge.
there you go.
Scourge.
Ouch.
We all trust Mr. Popoff, and there you go. Yes, it said a lot classier than what I would say it, but nonetheless, there it is.
Wow.
Wonderful.
I would have said Guitar Hack was about me.
Gentlemen, I just want to do a quick... Oh, hang on. Somebody who knows Uncle Meat says this. Does Uncle Meat's 9/11 mixtape count as a concept album? If so, it's on my list. I would say yes, it does.
Who is giving that comment?
Old No Name.
I don't know who that is, and I can't read it because it's too
Okay,
small
what
for
he
me.
says, what he's saying is here, does Uncle Meat's 9/11 mixtape count as a concept album? If so, it's on my list.
Well,
I don't know.
who's saying it,
It
but
counts,
they're
yes.
wrong.
Anyway, gentlemen, before we get to the lists, I just want to do a quick disclaimer. As some of you are aware, I am dead fucking tired right now. It has been a hell of a week, and I've been artificially, doing this shit. Man, and Rob's here, and I keep swearing, and I know Rob's made a New Year's resolution to not swear.
First of all, no judgment on people who swear.
Oh, thank fucking God.
It is just, it's just a.
I might as well stop right now.
No judgment on those. It's just a New Year's resolution that I wanted to do, and I don't mind if anybody else curses.
Well, I'm going to try my best.
I still bring up shit. I still bring up shit, but not the F word.
Okay.
Well, I gotta say that's a fucking great concept. So
There you go.
So this disclaimer is a two-parter. Part one is you guys got to bring the energy for me tonight, and part two is there's going to be frequent breaks.
Okay.
So, without further ado, let's go to the Nigel Tufnell Top 10.
Nigel Tufnell. The top 10. Nigel Tufnell. The top 10. Nigel Tufnell. Oh, this one's gone to Nigel Tufnell. The top 10. Nigel Tufnell. Nigel Tufnell.
Thank you, T-Bone Erickson, for the Nigel Tufnell intro theme song.
Yes.
Bob Purston, coffee is not shit. Coffee is life. I don't like the new font. I was copying this from Kevin's buddy, Start to Continue. But
Oh, never do
way
that.
better. Yeah, no,
your
this is way better. Okay.
I'm
So,
gonna take notes, Mike.
oh shit, thanks. I mean, awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, buddy.
No problem.
So tonight's concept is Nigel Tufnell Top 10 Concept Albums, and because it's Nigel Tufnell, we go up to 11, and I'm going to go first, and I have a little bit of show and tell, but I will say this was a very difficult list, as everybody here is well aware. Yeah. I have lots of runners-up, but if we wanted to say them, we'll save them to the end.
Yeah.
And I will say that I had two criteria, one of which is one album per band.
I did the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my second one was each one of these has to have hit me in an emotional way at some point in my relationship with these albums. So, pretty simple, straightforward rules. That being, my number 11 would be something that has had less time to really emotionally absorb with me. And that would be something, it's a gift actually. It was a gift given to me by Eric Litwiller.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Geddy Lee. And that is Alex Lifeson's autographs.
Awesome.
And that can be verified by a very famous picture of Eric Litwiller and Tom Morwood standing next to Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson.
Yes.
And
yes, where Tom looks like he's grabbing Alex Lifeson's ass, by the way.
and you guys, one of you guys is wearing an SCTV Bobby Bittman t-shirt, actually.
That was me at the time.
Right, and I was just talking about Bobby Bittman a minute ago. But anyway, this is Rush's final studio album, and actually their only full-length concept album. It had a novel to accompany it, based on the story written by Alan Dean Foster. And I seem to remember having pneumonia when I read that book. Just one of those things. I seem to associate having pneumonia with reading books. And that was the book that I was reading, I think, the first time I had pneumonia, which sucked. But it's a nifty little science fiction story. I don't want to take up too much time talking about each little one. It's far too complex for me to sum up in a simple sentence, so I'll just say it's about a fantasy world that runs on clockwork, so to speak, and alchemy.
It's steampunk.
Very steampunk, and there's some really cool music videos that they made to go with the album. And I believe the last track, The Garden, is the only Rush track that ever had like a full-blown orchestral backing to it, if I'm not mistaken. So my number 11 is Rush, Clockwork Angels, to start off the countdown. Over to you, Daniels.
We're
Okay.
not doing.
My number 10.
11.
Sorry. Well, I meant 11.
Right.
My number 11 is actually an album that's been with me for a little bit. And I had some rules as well. I had to make sure that I had heard the album, that I owned the album at one point, and that it became similar to what Mike talked about in the having the emotional state with it as well. But my first one here is probably one that's known to a lot of people. That would be Moody Blues, Days of Future Past.
My dad's favorite band.
My dad's favorite band.
Good album. Like it from the perspective of the day going into night. Favorite cues: Tuesday Afternoon, Nights in White Satin. Don't bother the extended album. It's a lot of really kind of forgettable tracks. The bass album, the one that came out originally, is really, really good. So this is my number 11, Moody Blues, Days of Future Past.
Awesome pick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great pick.
Over
Great
to you,
pick.
Kevin. And
Okay.
Rob, actually, sorry, Kevin.
No,
Rob,
no worries.
you know what? I didn't know that was a concept album.
Yeah,
Over to
it
you,
is.
Kevin.
I would have picked that too if I owned it, but I think my mom has like several copies of it, and I'm just waiting for her to move downscale to something smaller so I can take all of her. Like, there's no point in me buying it. I'm going to inherit it at some point. So I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know how, because I went really loose with the rules of what a concept album is. So I'm just going to go for it here. I don't know what you guys are going to think, but my first one is the Beatles' Revolver.
Oh.
And so the reason why I chose this as my number 11 is because before this came out, the idea of an album wasn't really established yet. An album was really just hits, right?
A collection of singles, usually.
Singles, or even like when people would come out with albums, they would write every song to be a hit, to play on the radio. You could go back to Pet Sounds and a little bit of Rubber Soul, but even those were trying to, like, every song was trying to be hits. For this was the first time where the Beatles said, you know what, we're going to put some studio tracks in there, or some eclectic mix, and we're gonna put them together. So not everything is meant to be played on the radio. Not everything is meant to be a hit. And at the time, this was a revolutionary concept. Nobody was doing anything like this at the time. So the idea was this was like a concept album. We're going to mix hits with studio tracks. Now, the only reason why this isn't really considered as much of a concept album today is because that's what everybody does now.
Yeah.
They saw Revolver and they said, we're going to do it. So because this laid that concept, then everybody kind of followed it. I put this as my number 11.
So to coin a phrase, your number 11 pick for concept album is the concept
That's
of
right.
the album.
That's right.
Man.
That's something?
Okay, so
That's conceptception.
outside the box, I was hoping. I figured if anybody was going to bring something like that, it would be you, but I didn't see this coming. So
I got a few more.
Well, Aaron, that's a tough act to follow, but go right ahead, my friend.
Okay, well, I had a couple of rules as well. I did not manage to keep it to one band per thing. I have a repeat. When we get there, you'll realize why. But my only other rule was that it had to be in my collection. It had to be something I had here, I could listen to and appreciate, and it couldn't just be because some list on the internet told me that was a good concept album. So I had to do that too. So my first one is going to come out of left field, and I'm not sure anyone's going to have this. I have show and tell for all of them too, by the way. I've actually put in the work. My first one is The Roots, Undone.
Oh.
Okay. So now,
Another one I didn't know was a concept album.
well, but check this out. This is the story of a man named after a character from a who's disqualified, Chris?
I think Kevin. I think that goes back to Kevin.
I go with Old No Name. I like that guy or gal.
Anyway, this is the story of a character named after a Sufjan Stevens character. And the album starts out, track 1 is the character's death. And as you go through, reverse chronologically to the last track with the birth of this character. And so what happens is you get this tale of regret and then sort of urban poverty and bad choices and drug dealing and everything else. And then the last 4 tracks are actually representative of the birth and childhood and promise, but they're all instrumental. So it's really cool. It's a fabulous. Of course, I love The Roots. I own all their albums, and they followed it up with another one called "And Then You Shoot Your Cousin," which is kind of the same idea. It's another concept album, but it has more than one character. That one has more than one character. This is all about one guy and his sort of life of bad choices, but told reverse chronologically. So very cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've got some comments here. Chris Sarr is freezing up as usual, and my mom tells him that it's just him. Thanks, Mom. And Holland is dropping his entire list, but I think we'll come back to that. We'll circle back at the end just to keep the flow going.
Sure.
Meat Man. Being in the last position gives you the opportunity to impress us the most, or just fall flat on your face. What's it going to be, my friend?
Something in the middle, probably. I didn't really have much in the way of rules. I don't like rules, but basically, you know, it is one artist per band, and what I've considered to be concept albums. And it's funny that it's turned out that all of these albums are actually very important albums to me, and it's just the way it worked out. So my number 11 is from 2001. It is a band that not a lot of people appreciate but should. It's a band called the Drive-By Truckers. And they have an album called Southern Rock Opera, which is basically what the title is. It's what it is. It is a rock opera about the South in the States. In general, it's almost kind of like a history of Leonard Skinner. In general, their signature song "Let There Be Rock" is off this album, and it's a double album, so it's a long.
Okay.
It's a long thing going on there. Great album, and anyone who doesn't know the Drive-By Truckers should. Is simply one of the greatest fucking live bands I've ever seen. And there it is, Drive-By Truckers, Southern Rock Opera, number 11.
Wicked first round.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike Fraser has certainly heard of the Drive-By Truckers, as we learned a few weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
So, wicked first round. My issue going into the number 10 slot is that it's going to sound overly negative, but it's not. It's just explaining why this artist is at number 10 rather than at 1 or 2. Anybody on this list, this is a tremendous list. I mean, I knocked off big artists, arguably maybe even bigger than this next artist at number 10, which is Iron Maiden's Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Oh.
And again, the reason that I put it down lower on this list is because of the concept album itself. I don't find as a story that it rolls together like some of these other ones that are a little bit more involved, a little bit more narrative. For example, with Seventh Son, it seems to be four standalone songs per side, more or less. There's a bit of a story, but then right in the dead middle of the album, there's a 10-minute song basically explaining what the definition of a seventh son of a seventh son is, And incidentally, as a kid going into that album, I knew all that stuff. And the reason I knew all that stuff, and Aaron, this might ring a bell for you, is that there was a G.I. Joe character called Crystal Ball who was on the Cobra side. And he was an actual seventh son of a seventh son who had clairvoyance and mystical powers. Okay, Aaron doesn't remember the character of Crystal Ball.
Was there an action figure for that?
Yes, sir. He came with a little shield that had like a hologrammy kind of visual flashy effect.
I've got a shoebox full of G.I. Joe, but not that guy.
That ringing a bell, Rob, at all? No? Okay.
No.
Anyway, his file card said that he was a seventh son of a seventh son, and such men have powers such as clairvoyance, blah, blah, blah. So I knew going in what the album was about. And then, of course, they threw in all the biblical twists, like it's actually a battle over this man's soul between God and the devil, with Bruce Dickinson playing both parts, really. But really relishing playing the devil. He had an extra large coffee that day, I believe he was quoted as saying. But not much of an actual story. It's essentially guys tempted by God and the devil via the devil's daughter. Guy predicts disasters, gets blamed for them when they happen. Guy commits suicide, gets reincarnated, and does it all over and over and over and again. That's the story. Over to you, Rob.
Okay. A little side note to that, Mike. I don't know if you remember, back in high school, I was working on a movie and shot the first scene in the classroom, and was going to use the opening track from Seventh Son of a Seventh Son as an opening for the film.
Oh my God! Was that day that was I there and I fucked it? I did like 10 takes and I couldn't do it.
Yep.
My acting career died that day, thanks to Rob Daniels.
Thank you, Rob Daniels, for making sure
You
that.
saved us all.
The painful memory is resurfaced, and I must drink coffee.
Okay. So, with a lot of these choices so far, very broad category in this case. However, I think this one, even though it has various artists, is a very interesting album to say anyway. And this is Spider-Man, Rock Reflections of a Superhero, a concept album that basically deals with Spider-Man and the fact that he's dealing with both sides, with being Peter Parker and being Spider-Man. It is a little bit cheesy at times, and it has some really Earth, Wind, and Fire kind of sounding tracks to it. But it's a really enjoyable album, I have to say, and it's really, really fun at the same time. And I also have to thank my really good friend Bob Pearson for allowing me to borrow his copy, because I do have a copy, but it's only digital. So this is because I was doing show and tell tonight, I wanted to make sure I had a physical copy to show. So Spider-Man, Rock Reflections of a Superhero.
Nice. So first of all, one, I've never heard of.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And two, I can't believe that Bob Pearston, my favorite Trek-spert, has physically contributed to the show now. I mean, this is awesome. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. All right, Kevin, that's everybody keeps upping the ante. How do you follow that?
I don't know if this will up the ante, but I'm not all in, I guess. I'm just...
Okay.
What do they call it when you just put the ante in? What is it?
I am
Just
completely
leave it?
out
I don't
of
know.
poker metaphors.
Okay, perfect. So my next one, here's another. I guess I'm kind of thinking out of. I don't know. I went with the band, the Brown album, known as the band. Now I consider this to be a concept album because all of the songs on it are like from people. It's about people from the 1800s.
100%
Like
agreed.
Civil war soldiers and I don't know, like people pursuing the American dream as they go into America. Like people say that this kind of started Americana. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's a nifty concept. If
Yes,
you will.
I count that as a concept album. Absolutely.
And I really like it. It's an awesome album. Good
It's
time.
almost like if you look at a concept album in terms of like a book or a movie, then that one is a book or a movie with a specific setting, but maybe it's all short stories with that same setting.
Yeah,
maybe they're all in one town or a state.
Yes, and that's a theme that I'm going to hit on a few more times. So that's my number 10.
Nice one, Kevin.
Thank you.
Quick comments before Aaron. Harrison Kopp, ponderous question for Mr. Daniels. Could you technically call film scores and soundtracks concept albums? I believe we did discuss this in advance.
We talked about it a little last week.
I would say no, simply because they are written for the film and are not really songs per se. Although, to be honest, I kind of break that rule later on, but we'll get to that when it happens.
I was going to say that I had one that didn't make the final list. That is a soundtrack that doesn't really. It's still a concept album, but I won't say it until we get to Rob's, just in case we're stepping on toes. Apparently, that Spider-Man is narrated by Stan Lee.
Yep.
Oh,
That's pretty cool. And what year did that come out, Mr. Kevin? Or is that maybe both of you? Both of you answer that question, depending on who's asking.
6.
Okay. If he's asking me, that album came out in 1975. Rock
Okay.
Reflections of a Superhero.
wow.
Kevin?
And yours, Kevin?
I think 69.
Yeah, I think you're about right. Yeah. Okay. So that brings us to Aaron.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna give you my number 10, and you're gonna say, how the heck did that make it to number 10? Except you got to remember, I don't put anything in order. So
True.
when they come to me, that's when I write them down. So I don't rank anything. But I'm gonna hold this one up, and I don't have to say a word except side A.
Okay.
How is that only at number 10?
Well, that's what I mean. I don't number 10, right? But this one
kidding.
had to be here for the side A. I know the side B is just a bunch of other songs and stuff, but for the whole concept and the story and the evil priests in the Temple of Syrinx and all that stuff had to be there.
This might be a bad time to tell you that Kevin and I discussed Rush in the pre-build up to the show.
Yeah.
And spoiler, I believe we agreed, and again, this is just between us two.
Okay.
But I believe we agreed that if we were going to include some of these Rush sides on our list, we were going to only count them as a half, and we were going to go in with another side as another half.
Oh, I didn't.
So if as we go around, if you want to add another Rush half to your list, you are able.
Yeah, that sounds like some jerk.
Okay. Mike Kudis, how does Lessons and Tears tie into the theme? You're right, it doesn't, but like I said, we gave Kevin permission to use half albums as a half point, really, and I think that's kind of a fun way to do it myself, and since I'm the host, I say I can do it however I like. And that brings us to the Meat Man, who always does everything however he likes.
Yes, this is very true. My number 10 is one that is going to be very familiar to Mr. Books. I'll be surprised if it's not coming up in his list. That would be a guess of mine. This is a 1992 album based on a 1989 book from Mr. Paul Quarrington. Now he knows exactly what I'm talking about. The Rheostatics, Whale Music. The album came out in 1992. And what's more concept than them? They made an album about the book. Then they made a movie in which they did another album called Whale Music, which is a soundtrack to the movie.
Yes.
So it's a and I gotta say this, Whale Music by Rheostatics is a very acclaimed album. So acclaimed that when CBC did their list of best Canadian albums ever, number 2 was Moving Pictures, number 1 was Whale Music.
Really?
So that is pretty impressive.
Way to go, boys.
That is my number 10, the Rheostatics Whale Music.
Beauty. Another wonderful round.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
I got Show and Tell for my number 9, and I think this one is deserving of its spot at number 9, and that is. Yeah.
Oh, you went there.
I went there. I did. I went there. I like this album, okay? I like it. I've defended this album many times on my website. It has a beautiful gatefold sleeve. This is a reissue, but it does have a beautiful gatefold sleeve, even though it's only a single album. And, full-blown orchestra, Lou Reed. Crap, who else is involved with this album? Lots of people. The story, unfortunately, gets watered down on the North American release because the record company made them shuffle the song order to sort of get to the rock a little quicker. So the story makes no sense on the North American version, but on the Japanese version and the remastered version, you get the songs in the intended order. Essentially, it's the classic story about the boy who is called to a higher purpose and he must defeat the evil. And that's about it. That's as complicated as it gets. He's a little mad that the elder is above seventh son, and I get that.
That's pretty crazy.
I like the elder, man. Like, it's almost like they're tied, as far as I'm concerned. It's almost like they're tied. But
Mike,
he does...
Mike, I'll say this about that Guitar Hack episode on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
There were three people. I believe 2 of them had the elder in their top 5 worst Kiss albums.
It's not.
I believe.
It's not. It's not. It's not. It could be better.
Music is totally subjective, and that's all you got to say.
We're talking about a band that put out Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Asylum, Animalize, Psycho Circus. No, the Elder is not in the bottom 5. The Elder is not in the bottom 5. There's me being contrarian.
Yeah.
How about you, Rob? What do you have in your number 9 position?
Okay, I pondered this one for a long time. What is the definition of a concept album? That's where I was having a lot of trouble with choosing a lot of stuff. So I thought to myself, okay, what isn't a concept album? What is a concept album? And then I thought, oh, this has got to be one. So I thought about it, and the more I thought about it, you know what? It probably is, and it's a very, very early example of a possibility of a concept album. I may be breaking the rules here. Gustav Holst's The Planets. And it basically, essentially takes each one of the known planets of that time and writes an essential theme for it, essentially. So whether or not it falls under the definition of a concept album, I like it. Yeah. I like it, and I will continue to think of it as a concept album.
Agreed.
There we go.
And the Meat Man might be able to testify that I have voted for Holst, Mars, the Bringer of War, on Sausage Fest lists in the past.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, good one, Rob.
That's a great shout.
Yeah.
I've got a vinyl of that here that I would play anytime. It's fabulous.
I just have CD, and I couldn't tell you which version, but that's great.
I have a CD too.
I had the Toronto Symphony Orchestra doing Holst on LP. I couldn't find it, so it's packed away somewhere. I still got to get it out.
Cool. Okay. Coffee. Sorry, Kevin. Can you go?
Okay.
Can you do yours while I get this brewing?
Sure. So yeah, like Rob too, I was having trouble with what people thought is a concept album. Basically, I just came to the conclusion that basically, if a band comes up with an idea for their album and they kind of stick to it for the most part, that to me is like they came up with a concept and they executed it. A lot of people have it in their head that it's got to be a story, and it's got to be a rock opera like the Who or the Tommy or whatever. So again, thinking somewhat out of the box, I guess. I don't know. I think this is a concept album, but I went with Sloan's Commonwealth because their concept was so all four members are known to be almost like leaders of the group. Like they can each of them could be the lead singer and being songwriter for the group. So there was 4 sides on a double-sided album, and they each had a side, and they stuck to them writing for each side.
Sloan?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sloan, Commonwealth.
Got it.
So the 4 kings on
Bought it with
the
Aaron.
is the 4 members of the album or of the group. So the first 5 tracks, the first side is like it's kind of plays like Revolver, and then Chris Murphy's on the next side, and he does like 70s rock. And Patrick takes over and does indie rock, and then the whole thing ends with a big 18-minute suite, which is like that's prog rock almost right there. I mean, they got barking dogs in the song. They got children singing the chorus, so it's not exactly prog rock, but I mean, it's as close as Sloan is going to get to it. But anyways, it was a concept, and they stuck to it throughout the whole album, and I think it counts. So
Absolutely.
that's why it's my number 9.
So, Aaron,
Wow.
do you remember?
Wow,
being
you
in
said that
Toronto?
like. Go on. Sorry.
Aaron, do you remember?
Well, I'm always on the defense. I know.
So, Aaron, you were with me when I bought that in Toronto. They had like that vinyl CD set with the deck of cards. What's
Yeah.
Cops? Was that
It
Cops?
was at Cops on Bloor Street. Yep.
Right, and Brian Singer is a frequent flyer at Cops.
Hello, Bob.
Yeah, okay. Aaron, you go ahead. I gotta go. My coffee's done brewing, so
Okay.
I'll be back. You go ahead.
Okay. So
He's left us.
you guys are always talking. You've been talking these last 2 here about what makes a concept album, and I am sitting here thinking my next one, the band would tell you they don't think is a concept album, but
Okay.
I think it is. So if that works for me, then so be it. But I think what the overarching theme of, now I've got this written down: consumerism, social alienation, emotional isolation, and political malaise. If
I
you
might
want
have
to
this
talk
on my
about,
list.
if you want to talk about, hey, maybe what's going on right now. Anyway, the singer of this band was listening to Bitches Brew at the time. That's what sort of started this whole thing. They deny that it's prog rock. They deny that it is a concept album at all. It is a desert island album for me. And it is,
All right.
Oh,
okay, computer. If you listen to this album from top to bottom, it bloody well is a concept album, Tom. It has, yeah, he says it isn't, but it really is. And when you put it on and you use the good headphones, if you play that record, it just, yeah, the whole thing just works. And it really is. It flows right through. It's got that little bump with that fitter, happier computer voice thing in the middle of it. But otherwise, I mean, it's just, the whole thing just works.
It's a great
So, Aaron,
choice.
just to catch what I thought I heard, were you saying that Tom York does not consider that a concept album?
Yeah, I actually looked it up, and he's quoted as saying, okay, well, in this case, because I'm sitting here, I override that, I guess. I don't know. But no,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no disqualifications. No disqualifications.
he is quoted as saying, the band doesn't consider it a concept album. Also, people have talked about it as a sort of prog rock. And they say no, because they didn't want to come out, because they put out the Bends, right? And that's a brilliant album that scares the hell out of me every time I play it. But they didn't want to make the Bends Part 2. They wanted to do something different, want to take it into a different direction. And then they did that another direction into Kid A, and then, you know, like it goes on from there. But if you look at it here, they disavow a debt to prog rock despite the whole album being dystopian. There's grand storytelling, and the lead single was over 6 minutes long. So you tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So I don't know, but if we ever do one of these things where it's a talk like this and it's our top 10 desert island albums, this is going to be there for me.
Yeah, that's a subject. That's a subject that has been brought up before. So
I love that album.
Put a pin in that one.
Completely. Recommend it to everybody to buy it.
Okay, Meathead, Radiohead to Meathead.
Love that album. I can't think of a better example of what a great fucking album, and then your next album sounds like a video game piece of shit. It literally sounds like it's Moon Patrol or something. It's some weird video game going on, which is so weird because I love OK Computer. I love every song except for Fitter, Fitter Happier, blah blah, whatever it's called. But the whole album is great. So that's a great pick, by the way. My number nine. I'm not picking The Who. The Who have, Tommy, Quadrophenia, etc. I'm actually picking a Pete Townsend solo album, released in I believe in 1985. It is an album called White City, a Novel, which is it features David Gilmour on guitar on a few tunes, and it's kind of a loose concept. There's some loose ideas in there, kind of about Pete Townsend's childhood and apartheid. I absolutely love the album. It's one of my favorite albums. I just got blown away by it, and that's my number 9. Pete Townsend, White City, a Novel.
Okay, nice. Pausing here for a moment just to back up and rewind. About his childhood and apartheid.
Yeah, there's been some. I read about it, and there's conflicting reports as to what it's about in general. So there is some controversy as in what the concept is, or if it actually is a concept. So
I hope nobody ever reads my record store tales and says it's either about his childhood or apartheid.
One or the
other. Well, let's just say this. You know what? I'd rather be talking about those two things when it comes to Pete Townsend than maybe something else you might not want to talk about.
Pete Townsend, yeah, we ain't going there. We ain't going there. Number 8.
Yeah, you brought it up.
No, I did not. Number 8. I got a really good show and tell for this. These are original printings. These are not reprintings. But this is Alice Cooper's The Last Temptation, Volumes 1, 2, and, well, there you go. There's 3. And these are, like I said, original printings. And the only thing wrong with them, Rob Daniels will get this joke. The only thing wrong with them is that I've read them. Alice Cooper in 1994 did his first serious concept album in quite some time called The Last Temptation. And it had been a 3-year gap between albums for him, and this one was, it dropped a lot of the hard rock trappings that had been on Hey Stupid and Trash. Kind of went back to a more 70s sound on songs like Sideshow. And it basically is about temptation. It's about a kid who is tempted by an evil, sort of like a stand-in for the Satan character, that offers you whatever you want in exchange. Oh, you just need your soul. What are you using that for? You don't need that for anything. I really love this album. I think it still stands up. Musically and lyrically, it's a great album. It ties together better than most of his concept albums. As far as Cooper goes, you could argue that almost everything he's done since Welcome to My Nightmare has been a concept album. He said that Trash is a concept album. And as Harrison said, if the artist says it's a concept album, it is. So Trash is a concept album. Hey Stupid is a concept album. But this one really is. It has characters with names that you can follow through the story. And there's really only a couple of songs that hiccup the story. which were kind of contributed by outside writers like Chris Cornell contributed Stolen Prayer, and it kind of sounds like it might be a standalone. But it's a great album, and that's my number 8. I could only pick one, Alice, and it was a very, very difficult choice, and admittedly, the main reason I chose it was because of the crossover comic book that I could show off. So there you go. Alice Cooper at number 8. Rob, over to you.
Sorry, Mike, forgive me for my lack of Alice Cooper knowledge, but is that the one with the story of the little kid?
No, I think you're thinking of Steven.
Yes. Yeah, because you sent me tracks of that, and that was some creepy stuff.
Right. That is, you were thinking of the original 1975 Welcome to My Nightmare.
Okay.
Which is also a concept album. Old No Name asks what Trash's concept is. Sucking. No, Trash's concept is sex in the 80s, according to Alice himself. Over to you, Rob.
Okay, my number 8 is one we have seen before. And, but I just became aware of this album like a couple of weeks ago. Ooh. So this is why it's so low on the list. But for me, it just said to me, I got to get more Rush, and that's Clockwork Angels.
Wow, nice.
And the idea is that it grabbed me from the first moment I heard it, and I actually have a favorite cue off of it, and that's Carney's. And as soon as I heard this line, I went, "This is really cool." And the line is, "I prayed just to get away, to carry me anywhere. Sometimes the angels punish us by answering our prayers." And I thought, wow, that's right up there with Galadriel saying, "They shall love me in despair."
Yeah.
And so, like I said, while I have Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Roll the Bones, and Test for Echo, I got to get me some more Rush. So, Clockwork Angels,
awesome.
number 8.
Maybe.
That is always the default answer. You need more Rush.
Maybe. I know that we've done Rush list shows before, but maybe we could do some kind of like Rush album discussion, like a deep dive, and bring you in on one of those. That'd be fun, like 2112. Or I just noticed that in mine, I have my Rush postage stamps.
Oh.
I stuffed them in with my Clockwork Angels.
Did I get those for you?
I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah, I bought.
Yeah, so this little package that I had here is all gifts, one from you and one from the Meat Man.
There you go.
All right, Rob. So Aaron, you're are you writing these all down?
Yes.
So cool. So yeah, we got our first repeat.
Clockwork Angels is our first duplicate.
All right.
Indeed.
Mr. Kevin.
Indeed.
Okay, there is some debate, of course, because there's debate on all these albums and whether or not it is a concept album or not. And there is actually
all of yours, maybe not all of mine.
There's actually some debate on whether or not this is good, whether or not the band is good. But I don't know. I like them, and I listened to this, in preparation of this, and I still like it. And I went with Kansas's Left Overture.
Yes.
Good. What's wrong with Kansas?
I don't know. People were like complaining about this sucker. So
Eric Litwiller's favorite guitar player in the entire world has been in Kansas.
Yeah, not that album, but
I'm not sure.
But he has been in Kansas, so ergo, Kansas cannot suck.
Anyways, there's some debate on whether or not this is a concept album. I think the debate is by people who don't understand what a concept album is, because even though it's not a rock opera, it doesn't flow with one story. Every song on here is asking philosophical questions. Hence the guy on the cover, the philosopher, writing down stuff and thinking and space and time and stuff. Like, it's right there on the cover what the concept is of the album. But anyways, I digress. Like, it's just like there's some like just disappointment in life. Like some songs are just about disappointment. Some songs are about what did I write down here? Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Which one is this? Cancer. Oh yeah. So there's a guy who just, like, his philosophy is he just says whatever's on his mind, and it kind of gets him in trouble. Another person questioning, why do people not live up to their potential? And then there's like people trying to find meaning in love, people trying to find meaning in war, country pride, community. I mean, it has it all. Every question you could possibly ask. And, so I think it's pretty cool. I think people get thrown off by the big song on here is Carry On My Wayward Son, which is kind of doesn't follow the rest of the album. It's kind of a little. So I think that's where people kind of get stuck. But overall, I like it. So there you go. That's
Good
my
choice.
number 8.
No issues, man.
No
No
controversy
issue.
there.
No.
Yeah.
You can-
Aaron,
Con-
are you going to try to bring some controversy to make up for Kevin's lack thereof? No? Okay. Aaron's going to play it straight with his number 8.
Well, my next one, yeah. I was sitting here thinking that for that one, Kevin, you could say that "Carry On My Wayward Son" came out of Leftoverture Field.
That's why you're on this show, man. That's
He's
why.
here
For
all
the
night.
fun.
Tip your waiter.
Try the veal. Okay, so I'm gonna just hold this one up, and I'm actually I think I'm ahead of Mike on this one because I'm really sure this one's on Mike's list. So I'm just gonna hold this one up, and when he gets to it, he can tell you all about it.
Okay, so we'll come back to this one. We'll circle
yes.
back. That is
Maroon
a that is a great version of that album. Incidentally, it has all the B-sides, which of which there actually were not many.
all the acoustic and demos, and now you told me to buy this.
I did.
Yeah, when we were in Toronto, and actually you did that with Marbles as well.
I did.
There was a 2 CD of Marbles in a fancy bookcase, and it was like $8, and you're like, dude, if you don't buy that, that's a crime. So, but this is the 24-bit digital remaster 2 CD. But I know you're coming back to it, so
Yeah, we'll
I'm just
circle
going to
back.
say I love it, and Mike is the expert, so we'll just defer to him when he gets there.
I will say this. You're right. It would have been a crime to leave that copy of Marillion Marbles, the double there, for $8.
Yeah.
Some of what we do is shopping. Some of what we do is liberating.
Yes.
And what you did was you liberated that very valuable disc from the wrong hands. And
Give it a
although
good
it's not a concept album, but Marillion's Marbles is, if we were doing a list of double albums, it might be my number 1. It's brilliant. I know Tom Morwood and I don't see eye to eye on Marbles, but every single song hits me on that album. I just love the whole thing.
Now, Brave, I think, fits the list,
Now,
for sure.
Harrison's asking us to go back and read Brian. We're not going to get into Matter of Life and Death. We did that during the Best Concert show. And also, it's not a concept album. But Dave Haslam, I really hope he's talking about Gimli here. I really hope he's asking to see Gimli. So, Rob, next time you get a chance, I'll zoom in on Gimli next time we get a chance. And actually, you know what? I should be zooming in on the show and tell stuff more often. I noticed Kevin's buddy does that.
If my cat goes by, I'll grab him too.
And Chris Sarr quips that it hits you in the marbles. Yes, it does. Meat Man, we're on to your number 8.
I guarantee that Haslam is wanting to see that cat. I just know for sure that's definitely what's going on there. Okay, my number 8. Well, this is a band that has several concept albums. It's one of those that you have to pick between them. And this particular concept album is from 1972. And
I know what it is.
The loose concept of this album is that Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull is writing the lyrics pretending that he is an 8-year-old boy named Gerald Bostock.
Yeah.
And the album is thick as a brick. Yeah. One song, well, technically 2 songs because it was an album and you had to turn the side. But it's one song. I got in trouble with it at the record store because I chose one song and it was thick as a brick. I got in trouble with it also when I sold my dad's original copy of Thick as a Brick with the newspaper inside because I wanted to play Dragon's Lair and Galaga
at the arcade.
Not good. I got in some real shit for that. Let's just say that. God rest his soul. He had every reason to make sure I was gonna feel that. But I think It's a Brick is a great album. It's and it had to be on this list just because, and it could have been higher on this list, but there's so many great albums that are coming that it is Thick as a Brick, Jethro Tull. What's more concept than coming with your own newspaper? That is about the album. So there it is.
I'm really glad that Thick as a Brick came up, and I'm really glad it came up right now, just before I get to talk. Because I'm going to just mention one of my also rans. I'm going to break my rule about the also rans. Because it's not a huge spoiler that this didn't make my list, but I actually like Thick as a Brick 2 better. And
That is blasphemy.
I know. It holds together really well. It has a great single on there called Banker Bets, Banker Wins. It's billed as an Ian Anderson solo album, but I love Thick as a Brick 2, and it was one of these albums that I had to kill off my list.
I'm so disgusted that I have to leave for a few minutes.
All right, well, fuck. I screwed this one. I said the F word again! Said the F word again. Okay. My number 7 is going by the example of my friend Mr. Daniels. An entirely instrumental concept album, but it is not a classical one. It is Steve Vai's Passion and Warfare, and it knocked off a concept album by a much, much bigger name in metal. Arguably one of the biggest names in metal, knocked off my list. Steve Vai's Passion and Warfare is a concept album about lucid dreaming. And it's all based on things that Vai experienced when he was basically a teenager. He must have had a really, really weird adolescence as he's experimenting with lucid dreaming. And a lot of it's very sexual in nature. But it begins with an anthem. And basically what this anthem is, it's him transcribing a melody that he heard in his lucid dream when he was an adolescent, trying to transcribe that, trying to get the full magnitude of this anthem that he heard in his brain out onto magnetic tape. And if you've ever had a dream with your own original music in it, and if you've ever woken up and tried to hum that music or in some way write it down or record it, nothing you do will ever match what you've dreamt in your head.
Yeah.
And I think Vai did a pretty damn admirable job with Passion and Warfare with all this music, and the story would be completely incomprehensible if not for the extensive illustrative liner notes and lyrics for the instrumental songs. And I love it. So over to you, Rob.
Okay.
Cool.
This next album, I had in my collection, and I was sure I had it in my collection. It's probably in a box somewhere, so I will have to show you the hopefully this will come through on the screen. It's an album from 1981, and it's about a fiction. Oh, sure. Hang on. Where'd it go? There we go. It's about a fictional theater in Chicago. And simply called, see if you can see that, the Paradise.
Rockin' the Paradise.
Paradise Theater. And it not really introduced me to Styx, because there's another album that introduced me to Styx. But I picked up that one for the simple reason that I was into Styx at that time, and still am, but just in not a big a way as I used to be. Now, something that I heard, and it kind of hit me when I listened to it, and there's some really good songs on here. There's Rockin' the Paradise, Too Much Time on My Hands, but there is a song on here called The Best of Times. And I keep thinking to myself, well, with all that's going on in the world, these lyrics really ring true. I know you believe these are the worst of times. I do believe it's true. When people lock their doors and hide inside, rumor has it, it's the end of paradise. And I keep thinking about all the stores closing, all these small theaters and that closing. And Paradise Theater is about the life and eventual abandonment of this theater called the Paradise. So it kind of hit me when I heard that, and then I had to go back and listen to it again and again. So yeah, number 7, Paradise Theater by Styx.
Rob, I had The Best of Times played at my wedding, and not because of those lyrics, but because of the chorus. The best of times are when I'm alone with you.
Yes.
So yeah. Oh, Great pick. And you could have picked multiple Styx albums, and you implied that your entry point to Styx is maybe the same as mine.
Another album, perhaps.
Glad to see Styx on the list, and I don't know where the Meat Man is, but we're going to keep going with Kevin Simister. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, so when you open up the gatefold to this album, apparently, like, all these songs are about one story, and it gives you the build up to the story, and it says the story of rise of the machine and decline of man, which paradoxically coincided with this discovery of the wheel, and a warning that his brief dominance of this planet will probably end because man tried to create robot in his own image.
Okay.
What is this, iRobot?
It's iRobot by Alan Parsons Project.
Yeah!
That was one that was on my list as well.
And let me tell you, you listen to the lyrics, I don't know where they get any of that stuff in there, because I studied them and I don't get any of that stuff. But who cares? I like the music on it, so that's why. So if it counts as a concept album,
it totally does.
Yeah, then so what? I don't let it. I did not get any sense of a story or anything. Go ahead. Maybe I'm just dumb or something. I don't know. But
and I should also point out that little summation that you read also has absolutely nothing to do with iRobot by Isaac Asimov.
No, and apparently the idea was that the album was going to tie into those books, and Alan Parsons' partner actually went and talked to Isaac Asimov, and he was all for it. He wanted this to happen, but somebody owned the movie rights to his book, and therefore they owned everything else outside of the book rights, so they couldn't sign on to it. So that's why there's no apostrophe after the iRobot. And then after that, they kind of apparently they lost their mojo in tying it too much into his book, so they just kind of kept the title and did their own thing.
Fair enough.
It's a great album.
It's very interesting because literally my number 12 was Alan Parsons' Tales of Mystery and Imagination, which is all songs written about stories by Edgar Allan Poe. So so he's full of them.
Right.
Very concept.
Yeah, that was on my list too. I could have went either way, but I like science fiction, so that's why I went with that.
Yeah. Meat Man, what you missed was Steve Vai's Passion and Warfare, and
wow.
Oh crap, Rob! What did you just say?
It was Styx, the Paradise Theater.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a great example. Yeah, for sure.
And that brings us to Aaron.
Yes,
with your number 7.
I'm writing all these songs down, Kevin, and I had to actually go back and delete that comma. I didn't realize they weren't allowed to use it.
Yeah, you'd be in trouble, man.
I wrote
really
it with a comma because I knew it had a comma. And actually, the Asimov is something I was going to read to the kids recently here, but they begged and pleaded for me to reread the Tolkien instead. So we're going back through the Tolkien, all 4 books.
Wow.
So yeah. So they're big into that. But anyway, so parenting correctly around here. But Asimov is next, I think.
Nice.
Oh, there's a bunch. But anyway, so my next one. I had another thought too, Mike. You were talking about how you have a dream and you hear music and then you think you can write it down. I think somebody should ask Keith Richards about Satisfaction, because the apocryphal story about that is that he woke up, turned on the tape recorder,
right,
played the riff for Satisfaction, and then fell asleep. So you've got maybe a minute of the song, and then the rest of the tape is him snoring.
Yeah.
That's the story about that. But so I wonder if it sounded the same. Anyway, probably more distortion in the outcome. So my next one is told from the story from the perspective of a Vietnam veteran returning home. It's a song cycle that talks about what they witnessed when they got home, the hatred, the suffering, the baby killer, that whole thing. It's also drug abuse, poverty, works in a little bit of ecological issues as well. It's masterfully done. And it is...
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, Marvin Gaye. Okay?
Nice.
Really and nice. So if you hear that song and you think, oh, isn't that nice? Or inner city Inner City Blues, Make Me Want to Holler, or Mercy Mercy Me, and you think, oh, those are nice songs that should be played on the radio. But if you really listen to what that album is about, you go, holy mackerel. But it's a concept. And it all ties together.
Really nice pick.
Marvin Gaye.
Meat Man, we got a couple messages that are directed towards you from Chris Sarr. There's that one. And this is in regards to your story of being thick as a brick in store. We'll just put that there. And that leads into your number 7.
My number 7. Okay. My number 7 is an artist who is probably of his 97 albums, probably 40 of them are probably concept albums. So I whittle it down to one. 1981, You Are What You Is by Frank Zappa is my number 7. That is one of my favorite Frank Zappa albums, and really one of my favorite albums ever. The story is, you don't even want to try. Like most Zappa albums, you just don't want to try to understand what's really going on.
No,
but
diminishing returns if you go down.
Yeah, definitely a concept album. Great album. There are many, many, many others. Mr. Frank Zappa is truly the smartest person in the history of rock and roll. And there it is, number 7. You Are What You Is.
Two comments for the Meat Man. I now understand why you changed your Facebook avatar to the album cover for You Are What You Is this week.
Yeah, I did.
And,
that's right.
Aaron, take note. Steve Vai appears twice in the single round. He played on You Are What You Is, and I picked Passion of Warfare as my number 7.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Does that count as a duplicate if it's just a repeat artist?
No, but it certainly counts as something that we should take note of because it's pretty damn cool.
Okay.
But remember, it's Frank Zappa, so he's one of 71 people that played in the album. So,
True, but I don't know if you're going to see any artist that appears in the same round like this ever again. And Brian indicates that Paradise Theater has a sweet etching on the vinyl. So maybe that's one to pick
I was
up.
looking for that.
Yeah.
Not easy to find at a good price.
There you go, buddy. This brings to my number 6. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It could come up again later. And also, we've dwelled on it before. I decided to count Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds as a concept album. Number 6, we've talked about it many times. Everybody here knows the story. Phil Lynott, buddy from the Moody Blues, whose name is escaping me.
Justin Hayward.
Justin Hayward.
Yep.
And numerous others. It's a brilliantly narrated, brilliantly orchestrated, brilliantly written concept album. And as I'm sure, if Bob Pearston is still watching, he can tell you the chances of anything coming from Mars are 1,000,000 to 1. Over to you, Rob.
Okay, well, how do I follow that up? But with another science fiction concept album.
Nice.
Per se. This one, this came out between the eras between 1983 and 1997. So it's kind of this nebulous area. They wrote a book called, well, I just might as well show it, Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
The book was written before, and so what they wanted to do is they wanted to create kind of a musical landscape to go with it. Now, the music eventually became used in a video game, but before it was written for it to accompany the book, or to accompany theme, like to write it as if it was a film score that would accompany the book. So there we are. Shadows of the Empire is my number 6.
Who's the writer, the artist?
The artist is Joel McNeely.
Okay.
There was a lot of tongue wagging back then that said, "Oh, he's going to be replacing John Williams in the in the upcoming Star Wars films."
No.
Wow.
We are extremely fortunate that John Williams scored all 9 of the saga films.
Here.
And I have absolutely no issue with another composer composing the spin-off films, because hopefully that's all there's ever going to be from this point forward, are spin-off films, and hopefully nobody decides to take the Skywalker saga to a ridiculous fourth trilogy. Let's hope. That's a great pick, Rob, and again, a little outside the box, and I'm a little jealous I didn't think of it myself.
As it should be.
As it should be. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? It's great that we're having so many ones that are outside the box, and I hope people do give some of these a listen, because this is a decent.
Yeah.
It's close. It's margarine.
Yeah. You cannot believe it's not butter.
Right. Yeah. Kevin, my friend, this is your number 6.
Okay, well, this one's right in the box. I don't think you can get more in the box than a science fiction concept album by Styx. A little more modern, though, and it is The Mission.
Oh, yeah!
That's right. So
I love that album.
This is about man's first mission to Mars in the year 2033.
And that's timely.
And it's a little
2021. It's timely.
And it's a little bit Canadian, because you got Gowan as the lead singer now. Great guitar work by Tommy Shaw and I think
James Young.
That's and I like the name Key Drive for the ship.
Yeah.
Key Drive for
or
the ship.
Key Dive, something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. But I like that it's 42 minutes long, which is great. And the song "Gone, Gone, Gone," just fantastic tune. And like it comes with, might as well just show you here. It comes with like a whole, like your instructions for when you get onto the ship. I guess this is pretty, almost thick as a brick, like with the newspaper. But that's all like what you're supposed to do when you get on the ship.
Wow.
It's all right.
Cool.
It's pretty wild. It's like your official document.
Wow.
It's a cool album. It's pretty. Yeah.
This is the double
CD,
disc.
Does a CD have your instructions on?
Yes, it does. I believe it does.
Good.
But it's a separate. I think it. It's a very long booklet. It's a very long booklet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But this sucker has the entire album mixed in 5.1 on
really?
bonus DVD, including the music videos for "Gone, Gone, Gone," "Radio Silence" live in Syracuse, New York. That's a great song.
Oh, you guys all have it. That's awesome. I thought nobody knew this album.
Dude, this was my album of the year in 2000 and 17 or something like that.
Yeah, I remember you writing about it. I do.
Yeah.
So you say it's 5.1. Is that a DVD or is that
CD and DVD? This was a reissue that came out about a year after the fact. I'm trying to see who did the 5.1 mix. It was somebody good.
Mike Frazier?
It wasn't Mike Frazier. A good buddy of ours, Rich Cameraman, has always said, there's a good 5.1 mix and there's a bad 5.1 mix, and he considers a bad 5.1 mix to be one that's gimmicky, like stuff shooting out, going in one direction and shooting out, going another direction. He likes a nice balance. It makes you feel like you're sort of in the middle of it. And that's what I got out of the Styx.
Yeah, it's like it takes you out of the experience. Like you want it to, but it's kind of neat when they throw it in once in a while. When you're sitting there and it kind of hits you. Like there's that Led Zeppelin DVD set. I had it down here for a while, but Jimmy Page does some things where like he'll do like a spinning shot and the audio will come around you, but he only does it like once in a while. So it's kind of neat. Anyways,
Mr. Bob Hurston.
Oh, okay. Go on.
I was going to say, Mr. Bob Purston has a relevant comment here. I don't agree with Bob.
10 sticks.
I don't agree with Bob, but I will say this. I will say that Dennis DeYoung's last album, 26 East Volume 1, which is a concept album as well, is brilliant. It's a brilliant album. So, I give full respect to Dennis DeYoung no matter what. But, no, that's legit Styx, man. It's legit Styx.
So, on that Styx album that I just want to say, I don't remember exactly when that album came out. But I do remember very, very clearly that LeBrain and I were having a Facebook conversation in which he told me, "Oh, wow, you got to hear the new Styx album, The Mission." And I'm like, "No, I have no interest." And we went back and forth for a while, and finally Okay, fine. I'll listen to the song.
I played it for you in the car.
And I listened to the song and go, holy shit, this is really, really good. And yeah, I've heard that whole album, and it's an excellent album.
What song was it? Was it Gone
was the one that I played for him.
Yeah, that's
the song that he played me. Yeah,
it's like deep, better than Deep Purple.
Yeah,
it's like
you know
they're
what
doing
it is.
Deep Purple better than Deep Purple.
Let's settle down a little bit.
Current Deep Purple.
Yes, I realize what he means. Aaron.
Yes.
My man.
Yes.
Oh, Hopping on a Bronze Leg is watching tonight.
Concept band. Oh.
Interesting. That's a subject that we could go into another time. Aaron, go ahead with your number 6.
Oh, I would just like to point out that my copy of Styx the Mission came to me courtesy of our friendly neighborhood, LeBrain.
Right, because I upgraded to this one.
That's right. He got that one. So I get the cast-offs. I call it the Quadruple A, the Aaron Audio Adoption Agency.
Yeah.
I happily adopt all albums that are left without homes. So, and that one turned out to be really, really freaking good.
Absolutely.
So here is our first triplicate. I'm not going to have to say a word.
There you go.
Wow.
And this
That's
is
crazy.
This is the reason why I had the same band twice. Because Rush.
Forgivable.
But I do have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. I do have a question about this. When you held it up, Mike, you pointed out that you said it was Alan Dean Foster.
I thought so. Did I get that wrong?
Well, I don't know. I don't have the novel. But the internet told me that it was Kevin J. Anderson.
Yes. Yes.
So I wanted clarification as to who.
I think Kevin J. Anderson is correct.
Oh, okay. So that's what it said there anyway. But I held that in my head for when it got around to my doing it. I didn't want to interrupt at the time.
Yeah.
The chances were good that it was Alan Dean Foster because I think he writes everything. So
Yes.
the odds were in your favor.
I remember at the time we discussed this, and you told me, Aaron, that you thought that the story outline that I gave you was very similar to something that you'd read by Harlan Ellison, something about the TikTok man.
Oh, yeah.
There's similarities in
yeah.
the setup to the two stories, I believe.
Yeah.
Although I haven't read the TikTok man myself.
Oh, okay. Repent Harlequin, said the TikTok man.
Okay.
Is the story. Now, it's controversial. I'm going to say I love Harlan Ellison. He's a cranky old cuss.
Yes, he is. He is.
But his stories, I have a whole shelf full of his novels. Like I have an entire bookshelf just dedicated to him. His short stories are amazing. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. There was a guy who ran a book called White Cat. I don't know if he's still there in Saskatoon. Anyway, if you're watching White Cat Bookstore Guy, he used to call me Bad Weather Guy because I always came in on the shittiest days. And in Saskatoon, that's really easy to do. And I got to be minus something stupid, and I'd be out walking around downtown and head into the bookstore. He was always, whenever he got a Harlan Ellison novel, he'd set them aside for me. So I have quite a few.
That's awesome.
Maybe 40 of them or so.
Cool.
A bunch. Yeah.
I don't recall. I mean, Stephen King's The Dark Tower.
Oh.
There's like 8 volumes, so I honestly can't
read
recall.
those. I want to say you're right, but my memory's fuzzy.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's an homage to that or if it's a connection to that in any way.
Or coincidence.
I have no idea.
Those books kind of took a lot from other sources
They did.
towards the end, like when reality started crumbling and all that. So
Yeah, very
Could
much
be.
a multiverse.
Yeah.
Very much, yeah.
I mean, I remember Stephen King making an appearance in there. Spoiler.
Yes, he
alert.
did. He did.
He does, yeah.
Horrible movie.
Oh yeah, the movies.
Yeah.
No, don't see it.
Disappointing.
No.
Well, now
Good
I have.
stars in it too. Good stars in it too.
Oh yeah,
Like
I
you
was
think.
like on board with
Yeah.
what's his
I think
name?
he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idris Elba.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I was like, yeah, that's perfect, man. Let's
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
And then they're in
And
New
McConaughey.
York.
Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
All right.
That's a horrible McConaughey. Come on.
I think there's a Family Guy or something like this where Peter says, Matthew McConaughey, you just keep making shitty movies. And he goes something like, I know, but they just keep giving me money. anyway, over to you, Meat Man, with your number 6. We're still on number 6.
Listen, I thought Rob Daniels got you to stop acting a long time ago.
He did. He killed the acting bug in me.
Okay. All I have to say for number 6 is, and I apologize to the concept of Rob Daniels, but I'd like all 3 of the other fucking hosers to hold up that last album that they just had up. You all just had an album up.
Yeah.
All 3 of you fucking hosers.
Yeah.
That no. Aaron and Rob are correct. No, my number 6 is Clockwork Angels.
Wow.
Come on, Kevin,
So
you
there
got it.
That's number 4. That's 4 people. Now,
Wow.
I talked to Tom Morwood about this last night, and he scoffed when I said I was originally going to put in 2112, and that's it's literally one song and it's half an album. Clockwork Angels is the pick, and Rush is awesome, and we all love the lyrics of Neil Peart, and that's really all that needs to be said. Just on to LeBrain for number 5, because obviously we've covered this.
Number 5 is a show and tell record. There we go. I only have a few show and tells left, but this is the one that Aaron was touching on earlier, and I have my vinyl reissue.
Yes.
Of Brave. And Marillion have at least 3 concept albums, maybe more. For sure, Misplaced Childhood. For sure, Clutching at Straws. And for sure, Brave. I don't know if any of the others would be considered concept albums or not. This one is based on the story of... it's a dark story. It's about a girl who jumped off a bridge. And... basically, I think Steve Hogarth read this story in the newspaper and kind of started wondering what this girl's life was like and sort of pieced together a fictional version of her life and what took her to the bridge. And we talked about briefly last week in the after show that this is one of those concept albums that has a hidden groove at the end of side 4. So depending on where you drop the needle on side 4, you get a different ending to the story. One in which the girl jumps and you get 20 minutes of water sounds afterwards, and one in which she does not jump and you get a brighter ending with a song called Made Again. And
Wow.
It's the only reason that this was the Marillion album that I wanted to pick for my top 10, because I could have gone with Clutching and I could have gone with Misplaced just as easily, is that it's kind of cool how they took it to the extra level with the hidden groove, the 2 endings, and it's a marginal thing. Musically, this is an extremely different album from Clutching or Misplaced. It's much more dour. It's quiet. Predominantly, it's piano based. Although Morwood has said before that it's got some of his favorite Steve Rothery guitar work on it as well. So, there's some plus and there's some minus. But that's my number 5 is Marillion's Brave, and Dave Haslam would have had Clockwork Angels and Brave, maybe.
So how does the double endings work on the CD?
There is no double ending on the CD, but I believe what they give you on the CD is a few seconds of the ocean sound rather than the full 20 minutes. And then the other ending is just another track.
Yeah, it ends with Made Again.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the good ending?
Yeah, hang on. Let me go to the Wikipedia article to get the full-on proper...
But that's right.
I'm pretty
That's
sure
right. It is. Yeah. They don't really give you the nasty ending on the CD. I don't.
Right. It's just a bonus track on disc 2.
I see.
The bonus track on disc 2 is Great Escape Spiral Remake, which I guess the spiral part of that means the hidden groove. and you get a few seconds of ocean noise rather than the full 20 minutes. But I kind of wanted the experience of having the full on thing, you know.
Absolutely.
Now, I just looked it up, and it says here it's based on a news story Steve Hogarth heard on the radio about a girl who was taken into police custody after being found wandering the Severn Bridge. She did not know who she was, where she came from, and refused to even speak.
There you go. That's a weird story.
Inspired Hogarth to write a fictional story about this girl and what might have led her to be on the bridge in this state.
Right. Cool. Thank you for that, Aaron.
Yeah.
So, where were we? We weren't on. Are we on Rob now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob.
All right. Well, this my top 5 actually became kind of a foregone conclusion for a lot of this stuff. There's only one on there that you might be going, huh? So my number 5, well, a little bit of a backstory before I do this. When I was a kid, probably about 14, 15 years old, I used to spend a lot of time listening to listening to music through that my sister played. So I would, because our rooms were right beside, I would hear a lot of music that came from her room. So she was into Moody Blues and a lot of those. But then all of a sudden, the Beatles started showing up on the playlist, and then all of a sudden there's these 2 red and blue albums that show up, and there's this one cue on there that really caught me. And well, I'm going to show it. Sgt. Pepper's caught me. And I bought the album I originally heard on vinyl, and apparently there was a lot of extras. You had a mustache that you could get with Sgt. Pepper mustache and that kind of stuff. They couldn't put it in the CD because they wouldn't have been able to fit everything in that they wanted to.
Sure.
So my number 5 pick is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles.
I was hoping it would make a list.
Yeah. And it did. And I'm surprised I haven't seen it yet.
You know, there are so many, and I'm so grateful that we're getting a variety here. We're kind of getting a little bit of everything via the 5 people involved. Yes. So,
and I have a hungry cat, so I'm going to be right back.
And I was going to say I'm going to do a gen check, so I'll be right back. So Kevin, can you please take it from here?
Yes.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I was gonna leave too.
I was gonna say I would not have picked that Beatles because I just went through every single friggin' Beatles album, and I am tired.
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
That's it.
Kevin, do you really have to go?
Yeah, I do have to go to the bathroom. How about Aaron and
hey,
Uncle
Meat, you want to take off for a minute? Let's go. We'll just leave the dead air.
Why not? Let's just leave dead air. Hey, come on.
Okay.
Wow.
Hold on.
Bye, Mike.
Oh, there now the comments are too. Everybody's bailing.
Okay, Aaron, I was whale music on your list. Is it coming? Is it coming? Or is it not on your list? I'm just curious.
It's an also ran.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Because I fell into the metal thing, and we're gonna get there.
You know what, guys?
Okay.
Why don't we all take a break for a minute? I'm gonna play a song. We'll take 5.
Okay, I'm gonna go have a smoke.
Yeah. Okay. Rob, we're gonna all take a break for a minute. We're gonna play a song. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back in like 2-3 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
This is Kurt River, Balls of Steel.
All right. Well, his blood runs cold, and he doesn't feel many legends told of his balls of steel. You better listen up. Never had a care, never worried who was there. He just looked you in the eye, and like a tiger hunting prey, now he decides, oh, if you live or if you die. place to hide. Well, his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. He's a little bit insane. Don't give a shit's his middle name. When he's got you in his sights, that's when you must wisely choose your demise. Oh, do you flee or do you fight? But you won't have much time before he strikes, because his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. Because his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. He's coming to collect, so you better kneel. Show your respect for his balls of steel. They play a tune like a glockenspiel. Nothing he can't do with his balls of steel. His blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel.
That was Balls of Steel by Current
Balls of
Rivers,
Steel.
featuring
That video is
Derek Williamson.
Thanks for the P
Oh,
Drake.
T-Bone,
T-Bone.
man.
And tonight's drink sponsor is currently Tim Hortons Peach Juice, which let's see if I can zoom in on this for our friend from England, who's never seen Tim Hortons Peach Juice before. There you go. It's mostly sugar, but tastes really, really, really good.
Like peachy.
There you go.
I've got the dollar store pint glass of straight edge juice.
H2O. That's high quality H2O. Oh, and also Dr. Pepper. I've also refreshed with a
Cappuccino.
Nespresso, But it's going well so far. We've made good time.
Good time we're making.
Where did we leave off with whom? With
Kevin.
me? With Kevin, so we can continue. Okay,
We can.
great. We don't need to wait for meat. Let's go on with Kevin Sinister.
Okay, well, there are two types of people in this world, on
Yes.
this planet. There are those who are willing to forgive Phil Collins for Susu Studio, and then there are those who are not. I am willing to forgive him for it, and that is why I like Genesis better than Phil Collins than that other guy.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
Rob showed that off on his show on Wednesday.
So I went with
Well,
Duke
that's right.
from. So this, I mean, if you want to be nasty, some people call it prog pop instead of prog rock. But I really enjoy it. I think Phil Collins is a great lyricist, and this album is about this character. His name is Albert. He's not Duke, but he is a Duke. And the song is about him going through a divorce while married with this high status and and it's about him, when he's in love with his Duchess and all that, and then eventually, they get a divorce, and he's worried about what other people are going to think and all that stuff. Basically, the album wasn't. It was a concept, and then they kind of switched stuff around because they wanted to basically Turn It On was going to be a hit for them, so they wanted to give it a good spot to start side 2. But there's still a decent thread throughout the entire album of that. And Phil Collins was going through a divorce himself at the time, so he put a lot of his personal experience into a lot of the songs. Even though he didn't write the lyrics for all the songs, the ones that he did, you can definitely tell where he was asking questions about love and all that stuff. And I think it's great. I think it's to me, it's some good prog rock to me. So
It's got the name Genesis on it, so I'm not going to argue with you.
yeah, so, there you go.
Put some
What album
controversial
was that?
opinions.
It was Duke by
Duke.
Genesis.
It's a great pick because it's halfway kind of concept, but it really is like a concept because even the song titles reappear.
Yeah,
Like, it's great. That's a great pick.
Man,
Thanks.
everybody's got an opinion. Great choice, though. Here's a controversial opinion. Nail Phil up. And
Did I miss Rob Daniels?
Yeah, I think you did. Rob, what did you pick again?
Beatles.
There you go.
Sergeant Pepper's.
Okay. No, I didn't miss that. That's right. Yeah, that's cool.
So
I
hopping
hope
on
we all
Bronze
enjoyed.
Leg.
I hope we all enjoyed an open door piss while we were gone.
Luckily,
Oh, the door
we
was
watched
closed. The family's upstairs.
a music video, so we didn't have to do that. We watched a music video.
Okay.
But
that's good.
hopping on a Bronze Leg wins honorary Canadian citizenship tonight.
Yes.
But Aaron, now it is up to you to go in with your number 5.
Okay. Well, true story for hopping on a bronze leg there. We went all the way to Halifax, and we were going to tour the Alexander Keith's place, but we were there on our honeymoon, and there was a hurricane, and everything was shut down for 4 days, and so we didn't get to do anything while we were there, including Alexander Keith's. So my next thing is if you spend any time on the internet at all looking up concept albums, you probably saw this one and wondered why. But everything on this album, and I have this from the internet too, it says it deals with loneliness, introspection, lost love, failed relationships, depression, and nightlife. No. And actually, it's not the Genesis either.
Wow, that was
No,
interesting.
something else. So I'm going to hold it up, and if you groan, I'll tell you that it actually is. It's considered to be one of the first concept albums ever.
Yes, that's true. True, 100%.
Yes. Mhm.
Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra and the Wee Small Hours, and I have the CD and I have the vinyl here. I love it. I've always loved this album, and I knew about that, but it wasn't the first one that came to mind. But I knew it had to be here. I had to give a shout out to Frank. So it's 16 tracks, which is pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
So
Brian's assuming that you're going to have a Mastodon and a Maiden later on, but we only have 4 picks left, so we'll...
foreshadowing.
And check this out!
Mastodon.
Me, Mastodon? Never.
No. There's a great choice out there. There's no doubt about it.
More than one.
Speaking
Yeah,
of great
Actually,
choices...
4 of them.
Speaking of great choices, Eric, what's yours for your number 5?
You know, I'm changing my number 5 to number 4 quickly because there's not much to say about this album, and I'm going to start up my top 5 short and sweet. There's not much to say. Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Yep.
Is my number 5.
Well, there you go. There you go.
The only reason why I have Pink Floyd, The Wall at number 5 is because the albums that come after it for me are very important to me for whatever reason. The Wall is important too because at Sausage Fest we actually did a 45-minute version of The Wall based around Sausage Fest. So I know the album very well. Had some great experiences with it. You can't be more concept than write an album than make a movie about it. It is what it is.
And then additionally compose more music in it for bridging, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the perfect choice for a concept album. I have a feeling it's coming again. I'd be surprised if it's not, at least. So that's my number 5.
Bob Pierston here brought up a good one. The Life of Chris Gaines by Garth Brooks. But Rob, did we not mention that in a summer show about fictional artists?
Probably. I'm thinking we did. I'm thinking we did a show on fictional artists in the summertime, and I think that we covered him on that show. And this is an interesting question, but let's just keep going. Let's just keep letting it go and see where we end up here.
Oh, Harrison.
Okay, so hang on a second. No, we are going to save your list for the end just so we can keep flowing. Okay, so it's my turn with my number 4, and I'm going to try to accelerate things a bit here because we've been on for an hour and a half.
Bobby
Operation Mindcrime. It's come up in the comments numerous times already. I listened to it once this week. This is the first concept album that I owned. This introduced me to the concept of concept albums. Somebody on my blog mentioned that the story is still timely today, and it is, but there's a lot of stuff that's very comic booky in here, such as Sister Mary and Dr. X, a little bit comic booky. But the actual overarching
But it should be comic booky. That's
yeah. I mean, look at that cover art. That could be a comic book cover right there. Anyway, I love Mindcrime. It is solidly strong, every single track, and even the bridging tracks, like the instrumentals and the brief bits, are brilliant. And it's the first album that I really heard that had anything like that to it. So, Mindcrime, I'm done talking about it. Go ahead, Rob.
All right. Well, my number 4 deals with. I'll write what I wrote down here. I always knew Chris de Burgh was more than his songs, Lady in Red, Ship to Shore, High on Emotion. He's a great storyteller. Others to note, Crusader, Spanish Train, Girl with April in Her Eyes, and many, many others. However, for me, it is this 2011 album, and I'll show it here, called Moonfleet. It's about a boy seeking treasure and the perils he faces and the friends he makes along the way. And it also features the ghost of Blackbeard. This is truly one of my favorite albums of his, and some great stuff on here. I was unaware of this album, and I'm not the biggest Chris de Burgh fan, but I know I for a while I was listening to him a lot. So this is Moonfleet and Other Stories. It kind of parallels the Spanish Train and Other Stories. But the main part is this almost like Treasure Island kind of adventure, and it's narrated by Chris de Burgh. Got some great songs on it, and that's my number 4, Moonfleet by Chris de Burgh.
Wicked, out of the box again.
Right? Never even heard of it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I love these shows. I love these shows because I hear all these great albums that I need to put in my ears. So, Kevin, what do you got to stick in my ear?
Well, you might have heard this one. So when this album came out, I thought it was okay. The band added a couple of songs to their live set, and I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. But I never really listened to it that much. And then when I was looking up concept albums and all that, I had an idea for this band, and I was going to go with that. But this album kept coming up over and over again, and they kept saying this is the concept album that this band did. And I'm like, okay, well, so I gave it a listen. And when I listened to it this time, it was after one of the band members had passed away, and it gave me a completely different perspective on the album, especially towards the end because it's about, a person's life, and towards the end, the person is contemplating their life. And it was this write up before one of the songs that says, thinking back to my life and telling stories of my great adventures. They didn't all feel that grand at the time, but on balance, and I wouldn't change a thing. I wish I could do it all again. And it's funny because I actually brought the albums that this is what I was gonna do. I was gonna combine Hemispheres
okay.
from Rush and Farewell to Kings, and I was going to put the two sides together and all that. But last minute, I changed my mind, and I went with
5 for 5.
It was back and forth, but I just before we recorded, like I just started listening to it again, and I'm like, no, this is the one I'm going with. So there you
5
go.
for 5, man.
And
That's a first. That's got to be a
Neil
first.
Peart. Neil Peart rocks, baby.
yes, and I mean, let me tell you, the last part of the album when you're reading all that stuff, and like how he passed away, you knew that he was kind of like he was talking about himself. Like with all those motorcycle adventures and stuff like that, he's putting a lot of his own personal experience into the lyrics. So
100%.
I'm going to say about that album, what's really incredible about that album for me is that how many bands can you name that have put out 20 albums and their last album is universally acclaimed as a great album? There's not many bands that can survive 20 albums and then put out one of the best things they've ever done. It's impressive.
And let me tell you, it was hard because like these, like the songs on these albums are like, I've been listening to them for so long, they're ingrained in me, and to remove that and try to separate that and put something new was, it was hard for me to do. And,
Kevin,
that's how good this is.
Kevin,
That tour was so much fun to watch.
some might even say that doing that for your list was quite brave. Brilliant, though,
boy.
Kevin. I'm really thrilled there. And Mr. Braun's Leg, yes, that was my number 6 pick. Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds was my number 6. So, Aaron, you're number 4. You go ahead with yours.
Yes. My next one is a follow-up. 2 concept albums in a row. I'm choosing the second one because I prefer the second one to the first one. I find the first one to be, no, this is going to be controversial. It's a little juvenile. It's like aggressive just for the sake of being aggressive. And I don't really buy it. But the second one is awesome. I bought this in the big HMV on Peel Street in Montreal when we lived there. And it is The Fragile.
The Fraggle.
Yeah.
The Fraggle.
It's it's the destruction of man, because of course it is, but it's depression, it's angst, it's drug abuse, it's but I find it's easier to listen. It's more melodic, and it's less trying to be angry Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
It's still there. Don't get me wrong. It's not a walk in the park. It's still there, but it's, to me, the double album there is the way to go.
Aaron, I agree with you there. Sonically speaking, I am a Downward Spiral guy. I find it just to be a brilliantly layered masterpiece of sonics. But as far as like a conceptual piece of work, Fraggle. That's what we used to call it at the record store, the Fraggle.
Yeah, I've had that record now over 20 years because
Haslam wanted to see the cat, so hang on. There we go. There we go. That's Gimli. Gimli.
There you go, Haslam. He loves the kitties.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Meat Man, take us out of this round with your number 4.
My number 4. Now, my number 4. The story is basically a guy named Nicholas getting hypnotized to think about his past life as a woman named Victoria.
Yeah,
Story of love, murder, and infidelity as being told by a female.
It takes place in a metropolis, doesn't it?
Yes, Metropolis 2. Metropolis 2, Scenes from Memory. Dream Theater is the band, the album from 1999. Love the album. Just one of the last shows I saw before the COVID bullshit was Dream Theater at Center in the Square in Kitchener, and what a great venue to watch.
Wow.
Perfect music being played with perfect sound. It was just an incredible experience is what it was. And they played that whole album cover to cover. That was like the second half of the show. So, I mean, I can't say anything more. I loved it. Dr. Dave Haslam, who has been commenting, he was there as well, and I know he loved it. I mean, a lot of people have their problems with with Dream Theater for many reasons, but it is what it is. It's one of the greatest bands ever, and that's my number 4. And it could be higher if there weren't amazing albums coming. So
Meat Man, like that album was on an earlier version of my list.
yeah.
But you know, it's a fine line between what doesn't make the list and what does. But I've always wondered, like the ending. Open your eyes, Nicholas. Like what is happening there at the end?
He's waking up from the hypnotism.
But it sounds like that guy's like about to attack him when he says very aggressively, "Open your eyes, Nicholas," very aggressively, you know? Like I got the impression that he was about to that there's more, you know? There's something else that's about to happen. You know what I'm saying? Which is great.
So.
Which is a great way to end any story, right? Leave him hungry for more. Although Dave Haslam says that James LeBrain gets on his nuts.
A lot of people don't like James LeBrain's vocals, and I totally understand. But when you're dealing with some of the greatest musicians in the world kicking your ass, I think you can put up with a Canadian great vocalist who just doesn't sound perfect to everybody. Just the way
James LeBrain, at one point, I read in Dream Theater's book, they talk quite openly about this. They were ready to fire the guy. They didn't think that he was putting in 100% anymore. And then, they spoke to him and he's like, okay, no problem. I get what you're talking about. And he turned it around completely. But when they were thinking about firing him, they said specifically that they were thinking about getting somebody with a more commercial voice like Steve Hogarth from Marillion, which would have been an interesting approach for Dream Theater. But I'm glad they stuck with James LeBrain. I mean, at this point, I think he's definitely earned his place in that band.
Absolutely. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's the way it is.
Yeah. No, I think the guy's got nothing wrong with his voice. I mean, I remember when he came out, people were like, he is the next Jeff Tate when Dream Theater came out,
He was Jeff Tate light.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. Well, my top 3 have all one thing in common, and that is I have cried to all 3 of these albums. And I take no shame in saying that.
Nor should you.
I really wanted to put this one at number 1 in a way because it's my last show and tell, and it's a really good show and tell.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If this doesn't make you feel something, then you're dead inside. You're absolutely dead inside. Gord Downey, Secret Path is the story of Chani Wenjack, who lived in a residential school in Northern Ontario and couldn't take it anymore and decided to run away home, and he froze to death following the train tracks home. And this is a true story, and the art is absolutely genius. The lyrics are... I mean, Gord Downey, the guy was a poet. There's no denying it. He was a poet that worked primarily in song. And... we're talking about earlier Rush going out kind of on top, Gord Downey also is an artist that went out on top. And ironically, the same disease that killed Neil Peart is the same disease that killed Gord Downey. So Gord Downey's Secret Path is my number 3 pick.
Awesome.
Over to you, Rob.
Okay, well, my number 3 pick is the only duplicate artist only duplicate band on my list. But at the same time, it's an album that has really stuck with me over the years. Now, a lot of people only know this album for the song Mr. Roboto. But the story here is intriguing with songs like Cold War, Just to Get Through This Night, and Haven't We Been Here Before, which actually holds a special meaning for me, and I won't get into the specifics unless you really, really want to know. Ending with the celebration of rock history with a statement, I'll do my best and try to keep rock and roll alive. And that's Kilroy Was Here by Styx.
Don't let it end, baby.
Yep.
You know what? I freaking lied. I said that Operation Mindcrime was my first concept album, but I forgot about Styx. Yeah, I had Styx back in 83. So, oh, hey, Jeff. Jeff is our resident graph artist. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. And Rob, brilliant pick. I'm glad somebody picked it. Obviously, it hasn't made my list so far, but and is this the second appearance by Styx?
On my list, yes.
And how many bands have made 2 appearances before? Maybe Aaron can look that information up.
Three different Styx albums now.
Mission, Kilroy, Paradise.
3.
2 of which came from Rob, 1 of which came from Kevin. Great album, says Chris Sarr. Bob Pearston giving us the... it looks like a chicken.
I think it's a clap.
It's a clap, okay.
Chicken.
And these guys are talking about... Man, this guy flew in a Lancaster bomber. That's pretty freaking cool. Off topic. But over to you, Kevin.
Okay, here's quiz time. Who was putting Vincent Price on their album almost a decade before Michael Jackson?
Well, that's an easy one, so I'm not even going to
Yeah.
answer it. The Black Widow.
That's right. Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. Boom.
Good choice.
This was I had this in college, and just listened to it to death, and that's why it's so high on my list. It's good times. It's about a guy. It's a weird story though. It's about a guy who goes insane after his wife miscarries a baby, and then he kills his wife. And I think it's a nightmare though. But the guy's name is Steven, and I think he's like Alice Cooper brings him up in quite a few albums. Like I think that Last Temptation album that you were talking about, some people were saying that the kid in that album is actually a young Steven.
Yeah, they're all named Steven. Steven comes up so many times. He's on Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. Steven.
Yeah.
Steven is mentioned on Hey Stupid in a song called Wind Up Toy. Steven comes up again in The Last Temptation.
Right.
I may be wrong, but I bet you Steven comes up in Along Came a Spider, which is another later Alice Cooper concept album. I don't necessarily think it's the same character, but he definitely likes that name, Steven.
Well, fans all have different theories on whether or not it's the same character or not. Whatever. Anyways, this is a good one.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And I wanted to pick Goes to Hell because I have the vinyl and I wanted to pull that out, but I just could not. This one's just so ingrained in my DNA that I had to put it in there.
Bear with me. A good time to mention the sequel album, which didn't make my list, but I love very much. Welcome.
Yeah, I got that too.
My Nightmare.
Yeah.
So many bonus tracks. There's an alternate ending if you buy vinyl.
Oh.
And I personally think that Welcome to My Nightmare is best enjoyed as a two-parter. I really like playing both parts. But that's just me. Aaron, over to you with your number 3.
Yeah. Mike, I wanted to ask, do you have the box set of The Secret Path?
No, I bought the book and I bought the CD separately, and that's what I have.
Okay. Because I have I have the CD and the book, and then I have the box set too. So because Gord.
Yeah.
Okay. So my next one is for Boppin because he called it.
Here you go, buddy. Mastodon.
Crack
the sky with an E.
Yes. Now that is because the drummer, who is an insanely good drummer, Brandaler, his sister committed suicide at 14 years old. 14. And her name was Sky. And so that's what he says this album is about. But if you go through Mastodon with any depth, they actually also have a concept series. And so each album, and it's Remission, Leviathan, Blood Mountain, they each represent a classical element. So Leviathan is water because it's Moby Dick and it's the ocean and all that stuff.
Okay.
And Crack the Sky is air.
Okay.
The ether. So straight up awesome, top to bottom. I mean, I could have picked any Mastodon album, but because I think they're all concept in a way. But this one for sure. I think between this one and Leviathan, I would have picked either one.
Good one, Aaron. Good
Crack
one.
the Sky.
Wow.
And this is the special edition, has the 89-minute DVD as well.
There you go. Special edition. 89-minute DVD. Bonus.
Mastodon.
Plus the added Rasputin content. I don't know what
Yes.
that means. Okay.
Yes. And I've seen them
Dr.
twice in concert, and I cannot recommend them enough.
Dr.
There's a-
Dave Haslam is a huge Mastodon fan, so he's very much approving right now. I'll tell you that right now.
I have
Yeah.
I have been listening. This is just me geeking out a little bit here. I have an old Sony stereo that just sort of sits here, and it will play MP3 CDs. So I made 2 discs, and it's all the Mastodon albums on 2 discs in MP3. And so when I'm doing my heavy bag workout over there, I've got Mastodon playing. I was listening to the medium rarities recently because the newest one, because I just posted about it. But Mastodon is a staple, yeah, for sure.
Nice one, Aaron.
Yeah.
Okay, Meat. 3.
Okay, my number 3 is a big deal. It could
Must be Max the Axe then.
Yeah, it should be. I wanted to put this number 1, but I couldn't do it because the other 2 just had to be above it. And I'm so adamant about this that I'm right now, I am now posting a YouTube video to the watchers of this show.
Okay, yeah, I see that comment.
In 1973, Willie Nelson released an album called Phases and Stages. It was his 17th studio album, and it was a great concept album. And a lot of people I know, including Tom Morwood, they believe that is his greatest concept album. And, my personal favorite from 1975, and Willie Nelson's 18th studio album, is Red-Headed Stranger. Now, about a year ago, I got a COVID, a little under a year ago. Right after COVID hit, something that really helped me was there was an Austin City Limits concert from 1974 to 1975 or whatever. And it's a full concert of the Red-Headed Stranger album done by Willie Nelson and his band. And that is what I just posted here. It is one of the greatest videos of music of all time. And I strongly urge the people on this show and all the watchers to sit and watch the hour of it. I watched it twice in a row the first time I saw it. It is incredible. It is perfect music, perfectly done by a perfect band. And I really love that it's so big. We're talking all these, Queensryche, Rush, all this rock. Willie Nelson was just as good as thinking as all those others. And it's an incredible piece of work, and I urge every one of you to watch that Austin City Limits concert of the album, because it is as good as music gets, period. That's all I got to say. That's why I made sure that I posted it for everybody, because if you get a chance to watch that, you will fucking love it. There it is.
I don't know if Chris Starr is still keeping an F-bomb count, but good one, Meat Man. That was a justified one.
I always felt that Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, they're country guys, but they're really above, they're their own thing. They're really above the genre. They can appeal to anybody, I think.
It's arguable Johnny Cash has numerous concept albums as well.
Yeah.
And yes, he does, actually.
All right, I'm going to go to my number 2, which, I'm thinking in hindsight here, I probably should have put further down the list, but here we are at number 2. And it's an album that I've mentioned before on Best Canadian Albums show. And it's Sandbox, A Murder in the Glee Club, which is a concept album about a murderer who can't live with his guilt and shame and eventually kind of goes mad. And it's a brilliant record that never got enough attention. It's vastly superior to their debut album. They only made 2. And I don't really need to say much more. It's a hard one to find, but well worth giving it a listen. Mike Smith from Trailer Park Boys is the lead guitar player. Sandbox, Murder in the Glee Club.
And you said that one made you cry as well?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Do you think that them putting out a concept album so soon, kind of, maybe that was part of what disbanded them?
I don't know, man. Like the songs. There you go. There's the record. Thank you, Aaron.
Nice.
The songs stand alone really well.
Okay.
I think maybe they came out with the wrong first single. They came out with a song called "Carrie," which is a great single. I think maybe there were some better tunes, maybe a little bit more aggressive tunes that might have done better. Who knows? Jeff Steven, Redheaded Stranger is on the 1001 albums you must hear before you die list, as it should be.
Yep.
Scott Peddle,
Indeed.
Loves Your Passion. And Chris R has lost track of the F-bombs. All right. Who's next? Is it Rob? Yes.
Yep.
Rob.
Maybe me.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Was actually a really up until this morning. This album could have very easily been my number one. I switched things around. Like I said, up until this morning, things were bobbing back and forth as to what it could be. I'll start off by saying, so ya thought ya might like to go to the show. So
Yeah,
my
I'll
number
leave it there.
2
Told you it was coming.
is Pink Floyd's The Wall. And I have a little story with that goes with this. Oh, shit.
There you go.
There we go. Pink Floyd's The Wall. Little story that goes with this. Just give me a second here. I am Catapon, so I first heard this album in 1980. I was barely 10 years old. It was also the very first time that I'd heard the term break my balls. The production blew my mind, and the more I listened to it, the more new stuff I hear. I love the fact that it actually runs in a loop. If you listen to it very carefully, you hear some talking off the beginning and you hear some talking off the end. If you put the two pieces together, it essentially makes the album a loop. It's really cool when you think of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Also of note, composer Michael Kamen did orchestral arrangements on this album.
Yes,
So
he did.
my number 2, Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Nice. And
We don't
another
need no
reason.
education.
You know, I did not need to worry about that album making somebody's list tonight. I knew that. So that's why I used it in all my artwork kind of leading into this week. I knew somebody would have it on there, even if I didn't.
I've caught on to a thing that Mike does in our chat is he feels out everybody to find out, like, kind of get an idea of what they're going to pick, so he knows he can throw it off of his list.
See you, Bob.
I do pay attention, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do pay attention.
I
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, are you going to put some Rush on there? Okay, then he knows that he doesn't have to worry about Rush.
Right, like we discussed, like you and I, we discussed
Yeah.
some of those half albums, so that's why I didn't go there. But this is your turn, Kevin. Maybe you went there. Maybe you did. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I didn't. Actually, the last two, my number 2 and number 1 are both Canadian. So this is the new hotness. This album has actually been in our collection for a while, and I thought it was something Sarah had picked up because I thought it was like, I don't know, 80s pop or something like that I wasn't really interested in. And when I was doing research for this album kind of came up on some lists, not all lists, but it was kind of like concepty. I'm like, what? So then I listened to it, and it shot right up on the charts for me. I absolutely love it. And forgive me for not knowing who the heck FM was for a couple of weeks ago, but I love this album, Black Noise. And
Smash the splash, baby.
Yeah.
It's like right-
there we go. Sorry. That. I was trying to get you clap. Okay, keep going. That's a slash.
I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, it's just right up my alley. Just the entire thing, and it's kind of like Kansas Overture, where there is no continuing story throughout every song, but every song is about science fiction. The first song is Phasers on Stun, which is obviously a salute to Star Trek. But it just has, what did I write down here? Every song has a science fiction thing. There's about space travel, mass exodus to other planets, mutants living in the secret underground beneath the city, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, maybe. And they rise up through the sewers at night. So, but yeah, I adore it. And if you haven't heard it, it's kind of like Phil Collins' Genesis in a way, maybe even better. But they're almost like Rush Light in a way, like they're little less hard rock. But anyways, I love it. It's great.
Brilliant. Love it. Okay, Aaron, number 2.
Yeah, and I wanted to, when you were talking about the Pink Floyd, I wanted to point out there are ones like Meat Pick the Willie Nelson and The Wall there, and there's a couple I'm still waiting for. I figured other people were going to pick them, so maybe that was sort of subconsciously part of my not choosing those and picking something else, was because I figured someone else
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
You know,
Can do the same.
somebody's going to pick the wall, right?
Right.
And absolutely, yes, it should be there, and we maybe all 5 should have picked that because it's amazing. But I just thought, well, maybe I would, you know. So, I am the one keeping the list of the album.
It'll happen. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will try to decipher my handwriting.
You know what, Aaron? If you want to, maybe just send me some photographs of your pages, and I'll just post the frickin' handwritten lists.
Apologies to everyone. The only other person on this planet who can read my handwriting is my lovely wife.
Yeah.
And even she struggles. So all apologies in advance. So I'm this close to being a doctor, I swear. I
got the handwriting down.
I had the handwriting, but nothing else.
That's good.
No otherwise. So I'm going to stick with the metal for my last 2.
Cool.
And I do have some also rans when we get to the end. So this one, I'm going to see if you can guess. This is the story about a guy who is banished from his hometown because he holds views different to those who are in charge of the town. And he meets up with a girl. They fall in love. He returns to the town. The people find out that he's back. She ends up getting killed. No, it's not Voivod. She ends up getting killed. He starts to take revenge and goes on a rampage for what happened. And the last song on the record involves his execution and meeting her in the afterlife. So it is a heavy, heavy album. And if you have any guesses, I'll take them now, but I'm going to hold it up here.
I don't have one.
Opeth. Still Life.
Okay.
That's a great album.
Yeah. And if you really listen to it, it is a concept album and it goes all the way through, but holy hell, it's so good. Like, I mean, this is just, it hurts to listen to this because the music is so good and the story too. And it's just, yeah. So I had to give it up to Opeth. That's a good one.
Nice one, Aaron. Heavy
love
pick. Rob, did you
it.
see this comment here?
Voivod! Might be discussing that later. We'll see.
Ooh.
Great album.
There's
by the
so
way.
many.
I love
Look
that
at all
album.
these picks. That's Merciful Fate.
Another great album.
Voivod
And
have
I know
multiple
he
concept albums. Meatman, your number 2, please.
Any list that has Opeth and Willie Nelson is just amazing. I love it so much.
And the
It's
Rheostatics.
just amazing.
Yes.
It's just amazing. It's just awesome. Wow.
Gaye.
Okay. Again, Marvin Gaye. Wow. There's so much. It's been surprising all night from all 5 people, which is really refreshing. I got to say that for everybody. My number 2, as been said before, it's been said by LeBrain, of course, and Kill Mary. She's a risk.
Get the priest as well.
Operation Mindcrime is a nugget of brilliance when it comes to metal and true melodic pop metal at its perfect songwriting. All the songs are great. The whole album is great. The concept is great. Everything is great about it. There isn't a better example of a concept album that everybody loves when it comes to popularity than Operation Mindcrime. Other than The Wall. I mean, The Wall is the only one that
What happened?
that would.
I don't know. Did Aaron fall down?
Aaron, you okay, buddy?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm just,
What the hell happened?
I thought I would go do something and then everything fell apart. It's okay.
Okay, well, that's good. Anyway, I mean, there's nothing better than Operation Mindcrime when it comes to like the world of metal and writing, and that's the way it is. It's my number 2. The only reason it's not my number 1 is that there's just something a little better, and that's it. So off to LeBrain is number 1.
Well, my number 1 is again, I went with emotional impact here, right? And this album has been making me emotional for 30 years. And it's the first album I ever bought that had the word opera in the title. And it's a little metal band out of Florida called Savatage. And I believe you could say that Savatage have done 4 full-on concept albums over their career. Streets. Oh, God, what's the one about Sarajevo? Dead Winter Dead. The Wake of Magellan. And the last one, which was, I believe, Poets and Madmen. 4 fully fleshed out with full-on scripts and dialogue concept albums. And in a lot of ways, Savatage's first one, Streets, is the simplest of them. They didn't do any of the multi-part harmonies that they did later on, especially on Wake of Magellan. But it's a quaint little story about a character named DT Jesus. Stands for Downtown Jesus, or maybe Detox, because he started out as a drug dealer, getting people high in the streets of New York City. But then one day he picks up an electric guitar and he becomes a rock star. But he can't quite shake his demons and he falls back into his old habits. And then some of his dealer friends come looking to settle some old debts, and his life takes a downward spiral. And interestingly enough, it's at this point where it takes a really seriously, heavily Christian turn. He walks into St. Patrick's Cathedral and he says a prayer. And his prayer is actually answered. He hears the actual voice of God or angels, perhaps. But it's quite blatant in the lyrics. You know, it's very, very Christian, which is interesting. The concept was written by their producer, Paul O'Neill. And, yeah, I won't get into the full details, but there's a heck of a lot of really serious imagery involving the soul and things like that. And I get really emotional at the end of it. Another reason I love this album is Savatage were Trek fans. That's completely obvious when you look at the drummer, Steve Doc Wachholtz. He had the United Federation of Planets logo on his kick drums.
Nice.
So it comes as no surprise on this album, on the song A Little Too Far, which is a piano ballad. A lot of piano ballads on this album. But there's a lyric in there I love. And who's to say what it's about when John Wayne took the last train out and Spock and Kirk have had enough and no one's left to beam me up. My number 1 is Savatage. Streets, a rock opera. Their very first concept album. Over to you, Rob.
Okay.
Sounds cool.
Well, this album has been mentioned already, but if you know me at all, you will understand why this is number 1 for me. First of all, this is the only individual that I have actually interviewed from my list. So I will read a little bit of what I wrote earlier. Again, flipping back and forth between 1 and 2 between the walls. So I first became aware of this album by accident when I won it in an auction thinking that it was the soundtrack to the film.
Haha.
I got caught up in the story, Justin Hayward's vocals. The chances of anything coming from Mars is 1,000,000 to 1, he said. There's also Forever Autumn, Thunder Child, which actually really brings some emotion out of me, as does Forever Autumn and Spirit of Man. So I have to go with Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds as my number 1. Absolutely amazing album. When I first heard the remaster, it blew my mind. This is the remaster I'm holding. Wow, such a difference.
Yeah.
And from the vinyl. And so there you go. Number 1, Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds.
That's a duplicate
I
pick.
predicted that was going to be your number 1 album. I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Rob, can you I'm gonna put you in the solo layout, but can you show that CD again? I just want to take a closer look at it.
Certainly.
Mine's a jewel case, but that looks like a digipack.
It's a digipack, yeah.
I wonder if it's the same contents that I have, and I just have a different packaging of it.
Well, I recently bought the album for my nephew for Christmas, and it has all of the the artwork and stuff like that in it. I absolutely love this setup, and the it's funny. I was doing a show in Grand Bend, and I was obsessing over the album. One of the guys that was with me in who shared the dressing room with me said, "Yeah, I've got the album version. Do you want to borrow it?" Because I had the just had the CD version, not this one. I had another one, and I said, "Sure." And the artwork is amazing. It just brings the whole story together. And a little side note: originally, there were two albums that Jeff Wayne was going to do. One was War of the Worlds. The other one was The Day of the Triffids. So that would have been a very interesting concept, but it never flew. And I don't know if he's done a sequel yet, but he did when I talked to him about when I interviewed him back in, I think it was the 25th or the 30th anniversary of the album. I mentioned to him, they open it up for a sequel. Are we going to see a sequel? And he very coyly said, maybe. We'll see. I don't know if I haven't seen anything, but it'd be cool to see what if they do anything to follow it up. So my number one, Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you. And good prediction, Uncle Meat.
Yeah. Like I just had a feeling. It's very you, in a good way. It's very you.
I won't take offense to that.
Oh,
I appreciate
don't.
that.
Bob's asking if those are the CDs you gave him.
Yes, actually, I love to share stuff. I don't like to sell too often. So if when I got the remastered, I passed the others on to Bob for him to share. If eventually he gets the remastered, the remasters are awesome. They are night and day.
Yeah.
When you hear them, it blew my mind when I first heard those opening notes of the Eve of the War, and I was just like, "Whoa, shit!"
You know what? I just gonna pause here for a
Wow.
second because I just had a brain strike.
Potty mouth.
He added an extra syllable to shit, man.
True. Aaron, the record keeper, take down a note. I just had a realization. We've had 3 albums with the theme of Mars. This one,
Mars comes up a lot, yeah.
Styx, Holst. That's incredible. That's incredible. And what happened today? Perseverance.
Lands
That's
on
right,
Mars. Yeah.
Well, this is wild. That's a wild, wild coincidence. Okay. Kevin, Meat found Rob's choice predictable, but I have found you to be unpredictable.
I didn't know. That's
okay.
You're
I'm
saying it like it's a negative.
Right.
That is
right.
not right.
Right.
It suits him. It's not predictable.
Okay. Let me rewind.
It's
rewind.
fitting. Fitting is a different word than predictable.
Rewind. Meat successfully predicted what Rob's number one would be. Now, I have found you to be completely unpredictable the entire evening. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I know. I'm out to lunch. So, well, when you said concept album, this was the first album that popped in my head. Oddly enough, not only has this album not been mentioned, this artist has not been mentioned all night. I don't have Facebook in front of me, but I looked at the YouTube comments. And nobody has mentioned this. Now, this album has been described as a rock opera. It's been described as an audio novel. It's been described as pure and utter crap. But I like it. I don't know what other people have a problem with. Neil Young's Green Day. Green Day.
Green Day.
I almost screwed up my own.
That's a
But I love
big
this.
difference there.
Yeah, but I love this album. It's so cool. It's some people get hung up on the concept of how it doesn't, like, again, the story doesn't flow throughout the entire album. But what he's doing, it just paints this great picture of this small town. And as you're going through the small town, he's introducing all the characters in the town. And some people are activists, some people are, they're going on about corruption, some people are corrupt. It's about environmentalism. It's about consuming mass media. It's about getting into trouble in a small town. It's just all these little short stories about all the people in the town. It kind of feels a little Stephen King-ish, except for like the gore and horror part, but just how Stephen King would build a town,
In Maine.
and just have a bunch of little characters in it.
That's cool, man.
So I love it. It's I listen to it all the time. It's my number one.
Completely unpredictable.
You know, it's funny with that album because that album, I've been told by many Neil Young fans that they love that album, and I personally haven't necessarily delved into it, but now you're making me want to actually delve into it because it's just another confirmation that is a solid album. That's interesting.
Well,
Very
thanks
cool.
for saying that, but I don't know. Like a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people say it's crap. A lot of people say like the lyrics are a little too on the nose. But I don't know. I get into the groove and I enjoy the song. I enjoy the song.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, so yeah.
Well, you know, Kevin, a lot of people might say that, but it doesn't matter what they think. What matters is what these 5 people here think.
All
And
right.
we're
Well, that's
we're
all who
giving
I'm
you
trying to
one of these.
impress.
Right.
That's
Are we supposed to be impressing each other?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
basically, you know what? I just
Oh no!
just because we're at the very end of the show here, I'll just say something. I was watching some SCTV earlier. I was watching the Sammy Maudlin show on SCTV, and basically all that is everybody just saying, you know, this guy here is so amazing. Let's hear it for Rob Daniels, everybody. And then they'd pause and like, well, you know, in a comedian, all seriousness, let's hear it for the host, you know, and then William B. Williams starts crying, you know. But
it doesn't get any better than that, man.
it really doesn't get better than that. I did want to say, though, you said Green Dale, and I just realized nobody's picked Green Day, who actually did a very good concept album. At least one, maybe more than one.
Thank God nobody has picked that.
Well, I didn't expect any of these 5 guys here to pick it, but then again, Aaron may surprise me. But you're first. You're next meet.
No, he's smarter than that. Period.
Thanks,
That is
I
all-
think.
Yeah, I know. You know that's a compliment in every way. There's not a chance in hell. I don't think you'd pick Green Day in 100 albums.
Well, he might in 100. He might in 100,
I doubt it.
Actually,
but not
they
his
had-
number 1.
They had lost me by that point, so
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think
But
so.
they hadn't lost Bob. No, sir.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, meet.
This
What's
is
your
what-
number?
No, Aaron's next. For some reason we switched.
Oh yeah, because Aaron dropped out. You're right. Okay, so let's stick
Yeah.
with Aaron next.
for the record, pun intended, that had nothing to do with what happened when I stood up. All that happened there was the cord from my headphones wrapped around my ankle, and then when I took a step, the headphones came with me. So it had nothing to do with the internet connection.
Dude, like, based on the week that I have had, I was ready to call 911.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Hey,
fine.
man, he's promised more metal, and I want to hear more metal.
Well,
Okay.
the reason I got up was because I thought, you know what, I have that. You were talking about Queensryche, and I have this.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this
Wow.
is a special edition.
Oh.
That comes with the live one, I think.
Yes, this has the full album. It has 2 bonus tracks with it. And then there's a bonus CD, which is the entire album performed at Hammersmith Odeon in 1990, previously unreleased.
Okay.
And then there's a DVD, which is Video Mind Crime. And then there's extras, the making of, and there's a TV spot as well. So it's a huge set.
Right,
I'll hold
right.
it up so you can see.
That is awesome.
So
Yeah.
what you have here includes all of this, including the 2 bonus tracks, which are The Mission and My Empty Room performed live,
Yes.
and
Really
this
cool.
entire thing, Operation Live Crime, the album,
Yeah.
and the DVD of this thing, which I also have as a separate purchase.
Yeah, and
so
it
that's
folds
a
out.
Awesome.
It folds out, so you
nice.
can see.
Nice.
Wow.
So
You
there's
know,
a
it was
whole,
always interesting to
Wow.
me. This thing here was always interesting to me because Queensryche were coming off the Empire album, which the guys were talking about in the comments along the side, which is a non-conceptual album, but it was their first headlining tour. So it was the first time they were able to play Mind Crime live in full. And so they put out this big hit album with 5 singles. And then their very next release is a live album of Mind Crime with none of those singles.
Yeah.
It was a ballsy move, but historically important.
Can I tell you the best part about the story of this?
Yeah.
is what I paid for it. Brand new, still in the shrink wrap, from in a bin when it was still HMV. I paid $3.
Oh my goodness.
That's a bucket disc.
A bucket disc.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the plunge on that. What the hell, right?
Nice one.
I got a David Bowie album, a live David Bowie album for $3 too. Santa Monica, something or other.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's a steal.
Now I'm curious on do any of the now I doubt that any of these have this example, but I have seen it myself. An example of them playing Operation Mindcrime live and Sass Jordan singing the female parts. Has anyone heard that?
no, but I'm hearing it, but I'm struggling too.
I have heard it. I saw it on a video thing years ago, and it was amazing. Like it was like the thank you. I just watched him bleed. The whole
Right.
thing.
Oh yeah,
It was
it's on
Jordan.
YouTube. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
It was Sass Jordan, and it's wild. Just
Oh, you know
it's the
what?
Canadian connection.
No, you know what, Meat? That was Jeff Tate's fake Queensryche. Pamela Moore.
Oh, was it? Okay, sorry. That's what it was.
No, but they were still validly, legally at that time Queensryche. They didn't. The court case was finalized later. But I was kind of confused there, like why they wouldn't have used Pamela Moore. And then I saw the year was 2013, which is post-split. So that was Jeff Tate's Queensryche, whereas the original Queensryche were still using Pamela Moore.
Well, and Sass Jordan is awesome.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, not only that, but she kind of,
Thought it was neat.
the long blonde hair, she could also look like Pamela on stage, kind of filling the visual role too. So that's very cool.
I saw her in concert twice.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time was opening for it went Sass Jordan, Steve Miller Band, Extreme, and then Bryan Adams on the Waking Up the Nation tour.
Oh.
And Steve Miller was so out of it. And then and then the second time was opening for Jeff Healy
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
in the Newstead Arena. If you know where
Rest in
Newstead,
peace.
Ontario is.
No.
I do know where that is.
He was not happy to be there. So where the hell are we?
I've seen Jeff
that's
Healy live,
funny.
and he's not afraid to speak his mind on stages.
Oh, he was not happy. And then he asked for a beer, and they brought it, and it was warm. He was not a happy man. So, all right. So my last album, we haven't even got there yet.
Yeah.
That whole thing was because of Operation Mindcrime and this awesome set that I paid next to nothing for.
It's awesome.
Oh, I thought that's what you were picking as number one.
Yeah, first.
No.
That's what I thought.
I've got an album here.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's not my pick. I just went to get that to show you that.
Okay.
Okay.
So this album relates to the resurrection of a dead planet through an interplanetary quest, tackling environmental issues such as climate change and impacts on marine life, as well as the broader themes of life, death, and rebirth. And I read that from the internet.
Gojira!
Gojira
Wow.
from Mars
Wow.
to Sirius. This
Wow,
is one
that's
hell
a great
of an
example.
album.
What's the name?
Yes.
What's the name of it?
From
Hey, what's the name of
Mars
that album?
to Sirius. So there's
From
another
Mars to
reference.
Sirius. So we've got 6 Mars things tonight?
Yeah.
I'm listening to that album. I am going to listen to that album.
The heaviest matter of the universe, flying whales. Oh my God. I also saw Gojira in concert with Mastodon. That was the show. And it just, like, brain just gone.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, that is a good one. That was the L'Enfant Sauvage. Well, there's a first.
Wow. Friend of the channel, Seb, is a huge Gojira fan. And you had me interested. I want to see that. I want to listen to that album now.
Yeah, check out that one and L'Enfant Sauvage. That was the tour we saw. And that title track, listen to the drums. To watch Mario, I think his name's Mario, to watch the drummer do that, in person after watching Brown
Very
Taylor
interesting.
play. Oh my God. Yeah.
That sounds cool, man. That's a
Wicked.
great choice. I love it.
All right, Meat Man, it's up to you to finish the show.
Well, I mean, I'm going to gloriously finish the show. I mean, okay. In around 1985, 1986, a longtime friend of mine by the name of Jacob Moon gave me a tape of Misplaced Childhood by Marillion. And I let it sit for months. And I remember I took a bus from Amos Avenue in Waterloo, and I got off at Waterloo Town Square, and I was in the middle of like the first 10 minutes of Misplaced Childhood, and I had finally listened to it, and I'm like, what is happening? So I ended up sitting at the glockenspiel there and just stopping and completely abandoning my plans and just listening to the whole album twice in a row. And the album Misplaced Childhood changed my life. And it's so ironic that 25 years after that, the guy who gave me the tape, the guy who I went to see the original Marillion band at Massey Hall with, Jacob Moon, 25 years later is opening for Marillion in Europe at the Bataclan, where a shooting freaking happens like a year later. It's just, it's all weird. I love Jacob to death. He totally showed me Marillion from the beginning. And I believe that Misplaced Childhood is the best version of, hey, I've cried listening to that album over and over and over again. I mean, that and Clutching at Straws. I mean, it's maybe even more emotional, but when it comes to a concept, the concept truly, it's Misplaced Childhood. That's the number one, and it had to be. It's the way it is.
Well, all I can say to that, Meat, is we've talked about this, and Derek William Dick is your favorite lyricist of all time.
Of course.
And
There's
don't
no
give me your
comparison.
problems.
Don't give me your problems. That's
Don't
right.
give me your problems. Well, boys, as Sammy Maudlin would do, oh, you guys are all just fantastic. Let's give us all just a round of applause.
Round
This
of
is
applause.
5 amazing lists tonight, and Aaron's written them all down. Mars is clearly the winner. Not necessarily the person Mars, because I believe all 5 of us.
The planet Mars.
Right, the planet Mars is the winner clearly tonight.
Clockwork Angels is the winner. Clearly.
Yeah, I think This
Oh
was,
yeah.
This
Well,
was the
yeah,
album.
that's true. That is true. Rush, and that blows my mind. That just blows my mind.
No, it makes perfect sense.
I'm really glad that happened. Now it is getting late, so let's start to wrap up. Next week we are doing the Top Bootlegs show with Harrison Kopp and John T. Snow, and I don't know if any of you gentlemen, which ones of you gentlemen would like to join, if any.
I'll be here.
Okay, Kevin's in.
I got a lot of
Fine.
I know not the bootlegs, so I shall
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Finally, the viewers don't need to listen to me say fuck every week. There you go.
So we'll have at
I can
least.
try. Let me look.
Okay. We will have at least myself, Harrison Kopp, Kevin, and John T. Snow. Now, Holan dropped a whole ton of comments here, and where are they? He had a whole list, and now I can't seem to go back all the way to read them. Well, shit, I fucked that up. Ah, goddamn. I swore again. I cannot scroll back far enough to
I can
his
see him. They're on
comments.
YouTube. I can see him. He doesn't have a number 1 though. He's got 11.
No, his number 1 was something dumb that I don't want to read.
Oh, okay.
He picked Uncle Meat's mixtape, which he's never even heard.
Oh,
so
I see. I
like
see.
you can't pick something you've never heard. As
He hasn't heard that. That's
No,
why I
you-
was like, "What?" Like, you brought it up, and I'm like, "Has he even heard it? Because if he has, he wouldn't be picking it."
no, Kevin, can you read just from 11 to 2?
Sure. Number 11 is Genesis Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Number 10 is Napalm Death, From Enslavement to Obliteration. I'm not a very good reader.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
Public
I'm trying to write
Enemy.
these down as we go.
Okay.
Okay,
Number
okay.
number 9 is Public Enemy: Fear of the Black Planet.
Is
Great
that a concept album? Is it
Yeah,
really?
it is. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Number
yeah.
8,
That's a good
Pink
choice.
Floyd: The Wall.
Nice.
Number
Nice.
7, Alice Cooper's School's Out. That was on my.
That is a concept album.
I was considering that one as well.
Yep, that is a concept
They all
album.
are.
Number
Yeah,
6, yeah, that's true. Number 6, Queen's Right, Operation Mindcrime.
There you go. Yep.
Number-
Numerous lists.
Number 5, Lou Reed, New York.
Another
Nice.
concept album.
And
Yeah.
Lou Reed's second appearance after The Elder,
Yeah.
Number 4 is Pink Floyd, Animals.
which Boppin mentioned in the comments earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to pick some Pink Floyd, but I don't have any other albums. Number 3 is the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's.
That's shares with Rob.
And number 2 is King Diamond, Abigail.
Wow.
Interesting.
I was that was in my honorable mentions that I was going to say. I mean, King Diamond Abigail. I kind of loosely named my daughter Abigail because of
Oh.
King Diamond Abigail. So
Nice.
yeah, there you go. The true story.
That's
The true story.
I love that. That's like something that George Carlin might say. Bootlegs, shoe arms. I picture it like in a George Carlin voice. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so next week we're doing the bootlegs. Kevin, John T. Snow, and Harrison Kopp. Rob, you have a Visions in Sound episode tonight, and you are doing...
The Netflix show Blood of Zeus. I was able to get an interview with the composer, and the score is brilliant. So tune in if you please, as it is awesome.
Thank you.
Tonight,
Midnight.
98 to 98.5 CKWR, or online at ckwr.com. Afterwards, you can find it at visionsandsound.ca. And yeah, tonight at midnight.
Check it out.
And Rob Daniels, eventually, I'm still insisting that you see the movie Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
It's
And
currently
the late- And the late Carl Reiner.
right. And one other thing, I'm going to throw this out really, really quickly, is I have a show coming up, and I'm simply just going to leave the title of the CD here, and you'll be able to figure out what it's about. But this will not show up on Visions and Sound. This will be another show. This is Obscure Scores. Here we go.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
never heard of that. What is that? Explain it to me.
Deep Throat.
Was that
Is it-
porn?
Is it about
Yeah,
Nixon?
This is a soundtrack to the 72 and 74 films.
There
So
you go.
Is it Woodward and Bernstein? Is that what that is?
yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get my history book ready.
Okay. Kevin, you are in the midst of reviewing your Bond movies. You're at Diamonds Are Forever.
Yep.
And you just announced a new series of reviews with your
That's
wife,
right.
Sarah. You're
Yes.
tackling all the Tragically Hip.
All of it. All their studio albums, their one live album, and their DVD releases.
You can catch that at buriedonmars.com and
Every Sunday.
gaming.wordpress.com, or is that
I
the
think
full
so.
one?
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Caught Me Gaming.
Just Caught Me Gaming and buriedonmars.com.
Yeah, type in Copying Gaming into Google. It's the first thing that comes up.
And Aaron, you're still working your way through the alphabet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I'm regressing. I'm going backwards now.
Right.
Because I did the Barney Bentall greatest hits, and then I realized I didn't have the rest of the albums, and that was an oversight. So I corrected that, and so now I'm going back to Barney Bentall, and I'm listening to him.
Oh, nice.
So I love
Nice.
those.
And you can catch Aaron at keepsmealive.wordpress.com, the oldest site on the entire internet.
And I have a plug myself that
Oh!
I'm going to. Yes, I'm going to have a plug. I am going to be doing an open door piss near you sometime.
Oh,
Open one
That's
hand.
something. This is something we can all look forward to as things start to reopen in Ontario. That Eric Litwiller will be back in the streets doing open door pisses at a location near you.
Yes.
Eight open door pisses.
Well, gentlemen, thank you again. You've been on for 2.5 hours. For 2 hours and 40 minutes. I've been
Flew
on
by.
for 3 freaking hours. These are exhausting shows, but I love them so much. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for giving me your lists. Thank you for participating. You make it. You know what? Like, I was having a shitty week, and it's all forgotten now. And
Hey, man,
that's
I
what
hope
this
Jen's
is.
okay, man. I
Yeah.
hope Jen's
Yeah. You know what? She's doing okay right now, and you know we got a weekend ahead of us, and we'll just take it as it. There we go. We're just going to change the name of the show from LeBrain Train to the Open Door Piss Show.
Hey, Mike, if I can
Yeah.
just say, now that you're feeling better, that was the mission.
Oh.
Hmm?
Well, no rush,
A lot of
Aaron,
sticks
but
tonight. A lot of sticks tonight.
no rush. But send me those statistics when you get a chance, and we'll put
Well,
them
there is
online.
rush, actually. Lots of rush.
Oh man, you know what? I am so tired now that I'm setting myself up for these bad jokes, and I'm not even.
We're talking bad jokes. I haven't even started the bad joke.
Oh shit! Yeah, well, you
Thanks,
know
Chris.
what? Dad humor, right? Dad
Yes.
humor.
Twice over, baby. Twice over.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for spending another Friday with me. We'll see you next week for the top bootlegs, and if you're not on the show, I hope you're watching.
Yeah.
And
Really.
you know what? I feel like taking it out with a song, and you know we've played pretty much the entire Current River back catalog so far.
Come on, T-Bone. We need more songs.
We have we played. We haven't played Rockin' a Rubber yet tonight, so we'll play Rockin' a Rubber to take us out tonight. So
Hey, man,
T-Bone
nice to
Eric-
see all you guys, eh?
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome.
Great to
Yeah,
see all you
Rockin' a Rubber.
guys.
Flew by. Didn't even look at the clock.
Nah,
Me
I know.
neither. Me neither.
All right. Well, and to follow up what I said at the very start of the show, watch tonight's WandaVision.
Oh, I haven't even started that yet.
Okay. Well, you guys take care. This is Current River from Thunder Bay, Ontario, featuring.
Good to see you guys.
See ya, Aaron.
Have a good
one.
Featuring T-Bone Erickson on guitar and vocals, Mr. Derek Stephen Williamson on bass. Rockin' a Rubber by Current River. See you next week, folks.
You
Right.
gotta love that T-bone.
Oh, you could hear the music from on top of the hill. Old Jack was rocking and so was Jill, but he didn't know she wasn't dressed to kill. And when the last song ended, Jack felt ill. The dog says you gotta kiss and fizzle chicken. The old limb shrimp took a mean shit kicking. Rule number 1, a full dog dick. Don't put the buck in the net without some tape on your stick. Now the girls, they still come. I knock, knock, knocking, and Jack still gets the jukebox rocking. But he don't dance now unless he's covered in safety first. He's rocking in a rubber. Well, little boy Blue, he was making time with the lady in red and a bottle of wine. She said, dear boy, you're doing just fine, but don't pop the cork now before it's time. And poor old Blue, he woke up in bed with an ache in his shorts and an ache in his head. The doctor quoted him rule number 2, don't put the ball in the pocket before talking to you. Now he learned his lesson lying down, and now old Blue, he won't mess around. He don't want to risk a fatal blunder. He comes prepared, rocking. What's that? Rocking in a way. while. When the show is over, you'll be feeling as lucky as a four-leaf clover. But without your skins, you ain't the drummer, so don't miss a beat. Rockin' and roll.